We need reparations, we need vacations, we need blue strips for all the time we spend waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid. I watch all of my people die. Why your people try to act like we commit crime? Get killed on TV, got our kids scared to go outside. It's time you pick a side. Before we turn this bitch up, Mr. President better fall in line. Yeah, we don't need loans, we need what we owe. We need police to stop killing sisters inside their home. And when it happened and we burn this bitch down, they need to stop telling us we was wrong. Ay, and we need unity. We need the government to stop bringing drugs in our community. They better stop playing, we not the ones. You got guns and we got guns. We kill if you play with our funds. Yeah, how we supposed to restore when they don't give us more? When they got knees on our necks when we walk out the store. How we heal when they go to the park, kill a 12-year-old boy for killing, we ready for war. Yeah, and we need reparations, we need vacations, we need blue strips for all the time we spend waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid.
Peace, peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abba, AKA Mr. Just the Facts. Mr. Just the Facts, family. All right, you know how this goes. Let's start off with some housekeeping. Make sure y'all click that like button, share the video out, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching from X, if you're watching this later from X or Facebook, come on over to the YouTube channel. Even if you're watching the replay of the live stream, come on over to the YouTube channel. Click subscribe. Still click like, but click subscribe and become a member of Notification Nation so that you will be informed. You know, every time BTP goes live and drops our dynamic content. Shout out to everybody that's in the building so far. I see my brother Ali is in the building. BTP Shanna is on deck. What's going on, sis? My brother Vince Jefferson plugged in as usual. Wow. Y'all know how this goes. This thing fills up. This thing fills up as the show goes along. So today, we're going to have a discussion about Barack Obama and the comments that he made during his sit down on a podcast with Michelle Obama and Michelle Obama's brother. And the second part, before we get to that, Obama said that you need a gay mentor, meaning you need a gay person in your circle, a gay man. And maybe that's his opinion, right? But others seen a broader liberal agenda being pushed. And I'm gonna discuss a little bit of it. I want to give my opinion on that because I think he's wrong. And I'll get into that. The second part, peace to Sister Queen Yasmin. Yasmin, I think I'm saying that correct. Uh, the second part, we're gonna discuss the gender wars. You know, what's going on, Todd Friedman? Peace to the Friedman fam. The Friedman fam pulling up. They pulling up. I want to discuss the gender wars. I want to discuss this notion. My brother Ibrahim sent me a clip, and it was a bunch of different black women, largely, and a few black men that was saying that, you know, repeating this lie that somehow black women are doing better than black men in the United States of America, you know, driving that wedge. And I want to touch on that tonight. Shalom to Opal Ivy, peace to the fam. Peace to Hotep Pro 2 Cal. What's going on? What's going on? I want to touch on that. I want to get into that. I want to dig into some statistics because this mythological number is being uh, numbers. These myths are being floated around in an attempt to further drive the divisions between our men and our women. You know, some of these women suffer from, those that push this nonsense suffer from a disease that I call boss bitchitis. And, you know, they may feel that they're in a great position, but they do not represent all black women. And, you know, they talk about black women are the most educated, yada, yada, yada. And I love the fact that our sisters are getting educated. I love that fact. But when you try to weaponize that as some sort of flex against black men, now we got to talk about that because there's clearly an agenda being driven to keep us separate from each other, to keep us as enemies as we move. We're supposed to be moving along together in this fight. I'm gonna play some things as well to speak to some of that. I'll play an excerpt from out of Dr. Tommy Curry's book, The Man Not. A very interesting passage concerning Sojourner Truth and how she viewed black men, which was the same way that she viewed, the same way that white women viewed black men. Same exact way. So we want to get into that tonight. We'll touch on some of these things, man. So Brother Ibrahim was supposed to be joining me tonight. I don't know if any of the other bros are going to jump on, but I've been wanting to have this conversation for the longest. I want to start broaching this topic of the gender war. Some people don't believe that there's a gender war. They just don't believe it. My brother Ali pointed out a few years ago that the main drivers of this gender war are foreign black women. And at first I was like, what's going on, Sister Roz? At first I was like, I don't know, bro. You know, it just seemed like it's all of them. But the more I looked at the content creators who were the main ones spreading this nonsense, I was able to confirm that what my brother Ali was saying was for the most part right and exact. Brother Tunez Mentor, what's going on? Sister Gina Bourne, what's going on? Good evening, Freedman family. Man, for those members that missed our membership meeting Sunday, it was a powerful, powerful meeting. I'm not sure, Sister Shanna. Sister Shanna asks an interesting question. Wasn't Sojourner Truth a non-freedman? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Somebody put that in the, if somebody do some research on that, and let's see if that's the case. Then that goes, it segues from the point that I was just making about non-freedmen women that is spreading this narrative between our men and our women. Judicially affirmed. What's going on, brother? It's crazy. It's crazy. Again, if you're watching on X, if you're watching on Facebook, come on over to the YouTube channel. Give us a like. We get a couple hundred people watching on X every live stream. We only get a handful of people watching on YouTube. And every live stream, I'm gonna say this, so get used to hearing it until the people just come on over to the YouTube channel and help us build our platform back up. Sister Shannon said, been hearing that lately. Even Voodoo Doll TV stated it on her channel a few days ago. That is something that we have to look up. Was Sojourner Truth a freedman? There's a lot of people that hate on us. I did a video about I was speaking with a woman from Africa the other night, and in it during that conversation, she was telling me what's going on, brother Ian. Ian finally caught a live stream. Um, I don't know which link you talk about, brother Tunez, but she was telling me about how the people in her country, they was telling her, watch out for the black Americans. Don't deal with them. Don't date them. Don't do this. Don't just pretty much stay away from them. She said that her experience with us has been the complete opposite, that she's been shown nothing but love, and that the people from her own country where she works at and the African continent in general um, are the ones that's hating on her. Brother Tunez, go to Be the Power YouTube channel, because I would have to log back into Facebook and all of that just to put the link back in to the Facebook live chat. Just go to the Be the Power YouTube channel. It should pop right up. You'll see us streaming live. Click like on the video, share the video out, uh, subscribe, click the little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can be informed every time BTP goes live. So yeah, man, we are a hated group. We are not only hated by what academia calls the dominant society here in the United States of America, we're just hated by every other group on the planet, which means that we have to be the dopest people on the planet. We have to be. We have to be. It's just a fact. I know some people don't like that, but if it wasn't true, why y'all all hating on us? I don't get it. I don't get it. So we definitely we're about to get into some things. Uh, we're gonna start with Obama first. We are gonna start with Barack Obama first. He made some very, very controversial statements, and you know, BTP Riri is on deck. What's going on, sis? And we're gonna get into that. You know what? Before I get into that, let me do some self promotion because I'm proud of myself. I started a family business, and I had to put my children on the business. Where is this thing at? Why don't I see it? Hold on. That's crazy. I don't see it. Give me 1 second, y'all. Why don't I see my web? I'm trying to show y'all the website of my new business, but for whatever reason, it is not showing up in my tabs. That is really weird. Maybe it hasn't. It's a brand new website, so maybe Google hasn't. Let me see if I could do it this way. Hmm. Let's see if I could do it this way. All right, so hopefully y'all can see that. Let me see. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Hopefully y'all can see that. This is my new business right here. Right now, it's me and my children. We have our first contract out in the city of Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen headquarters is now officially established. And I'm just trying to check to see if y'all can see the Okay, yeah, there we go. There we go. Y'all can see it. We already have our first contract. Me and my daughter went in. We did our thing, man. You know, we studied the janitorial business and studied what it takes to perform quality service. And we did our thing, man. We got a bunch of rave reviews. So I want to give a shout out to myself, man. I want to give a shout out to my family and you know, especially to my daughter Zahara, because she right there at the hip with me. They've always said she was a daddy's girl. So, you know, it is what it is, man. We doing a damn thing right now. And this was a part of the membership meeting that we had this past Sunday with United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen about establishing our businesses and creating a conglomerate and making sure we slap freedmen and American freedmen in the faces of everybody to let them know that this term has been resurrected and that the sentiment of our ancestors and our freedom fight in this country has been resurrected. You all see me share a quote from Mercer Baradaran's book, The Color of Money, that she got from Eric Foner's book, or Reconstruction. And they interviewed a freedman and they said, okay, hold on, Ibrahim. They said, the freedman told the whoever that was interviewing them, we have advanced 100 years in just 1 year. I've shown that several times on this platform. We didn't let nothing stop us or hold us back. We went and we did what we needed to do. But of course, you know, the devil is as the devil does, and they did everything within their power to stop us. But this is a new era of time now, and we will step up and still fight for the things. Now, I don't see you, brother Ibrahim. If you could hear me, we will step up and you know, we're gonna do what we got to do. That's just a fact. We were never. I want to be clear as well. We were never on this because we're fighting for remedial justice that we shouldn't go out and start our own businesses and do the things necessary to take. You know, it's pretty much sit stagnant and wait for some quote unquote government handout as we never advocated for that. If you watched our platform, I mean, this country owes us. You paid the Japanese Americans, you paid various Indian tribes in the forms of millions and in billions of dollars when you use a inflation calculator today. Paid in land and all of these different things that you refused to do for us, and that when we did for ourselves, you outright took it from us or used the laws of the federal government or the state to finagle us out of it. So, you know, this we're old. We are old, and that's a fact. But in the meantime, in between time, we're gonna do what we've been doing. We're gonna be productive and industrious, because that's just what we are. That's right, Sister Shanette. Tell the truth and shame the devil. You know, okay, so okay, my sister Ross said people think that Sojourner Truth was not a freedman because she spoke Dutch and English. Okay, that may be you know, that could be true. I've never heard that she wasn't a freedman before. So that was my first time hearing that one. Freedman first, do your research. That is a fact. That is a fact. Yes, people from X, y'all come on over to YouTube. I see the numbers starting to swell up. Y'all come on over to YouTube. That's right, Ian Soul City. You know, we wasn't playing, man. Floyd McKissick, a lesser known civil rights giant. He, he's trying to get Soul City, North Carolina up and running under that civil rights program that I believe that was 1971, and it got defunded. They used legislation. Ronald Reagan put the final death knell in our plan, while the other I think it was 10 other cities, they thrived. Those cities are still thriving today. They're still thriving today. So, all right, let's get into this thing. Let's get into Barack Obama. Some call him Barry Soetoro, but we know his name is Barack Obama. Um, I don't like Obama, and it's no secret. We have 2 videos on this platform that we did last year breaking down how Barack Obama was a horrible, horrible president for the American freedom. Horrible, horrible. But insofar as all the other slander dealing with Michelle Obama being a man, people crazy. People crazy with that. So let's get into this.
And that's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
Mm-hmm. One dad.
No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be everything.
He can't be everything. And then that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right?
Many people took that as because it was under Barack Obama that gay marriage got its push, right? And I want to be clear before I move forward. People do what they do. People do what they do. People's problem, which was my problem as well, was that you tried to force it on us, right? We didn't have to try to force like our beliefs onto anybody. And for the most part, this is a belief. This is my opinion. People believe that they're not the sex that they were born into, the gender that they were born into. They believe that, but that does not make it true, and it's not true. And it will never, ever be true. It will never, ever be true. With that said, it's not my business what people do. It's just not. I don't really care. I don't care. But what I believe is that this is a part of, like my brother Ian said, if Friedman didn't see it before, the agenda against heterosexual black males should be clear now. And to me, this is an attack on masculinity, on masculine men. Most of my beefs in this space where we're supposed to be fighting for reparative justice, have been against women that I've come to find out were misandries. Now, I didn't directly beef with them, but they caused the beefs and threw batteries in the backs of cucks and suckers online. And, these were some of the main people that attacked me and my team over the years. But the attack on masculinity doesn't stop because you're fighting for justice. No, those people that attack masculinity, they want to replace you. They'll literally tag you in tweets and tell you what their definition of a real man is. Oh man, boy, I tell you, this is what has happened to me. I've had people tweet me, tag other dudes and say, "This is a real man." Right here. Why? Because I don't believe you're babbling BS and you don't know what you talk about and you think you're usurping something and I don't rock with you. That's why. And then shout out to my brother Ian, the villager on deck is in the building. I don't see you, brother Ibrahim. I don't see you on the stage, bro. Hold on. I don't see you at all. Let me put the link back in there. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So I'm gonna try to talk while I do this. But yeah, we are in a time where masculinity is coming back. Let me put this link in here again, bro. Hopefully this one works. I don't know why the last one didn't. I don't even see the last one. Oh, I do see the last one. Oh, that's Ali. That ain't even Ibrahim. My bad. But even still, I don't know why that last link didn't work. So my sister Shannon said, U.S. Freedmen conscious sisters witnessed it from these women in our movement. All right, what's going on? Hold on. Got my brother Ali on deck. What's going on, bro? You still on mute. I'm gonna finish reading this though. Sister Shannon said, U.S. Freedmen conscious sisters
Can you hear me?
witnessed it. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right.
But you got an echo.
But you got an echo. It's an echo. Oh, shit. Hold on. How about now?
Nope, it's gone. So,
Let me move it out.
all right. She said, and otherwise up front, and even heard many of the foul comments. There were people that I met in this movement that pretended to be for us, and they were really just for women. And they were for us only if we would be behind them. And this is why Be the Power was always a threat, because, like Sister Ross just said, masculinity never left. Never left. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. So we have to examine this thing for what it is. What does Barack Obama mean when he says what he says? And I say, I was about to tell a story. There were a couple gay guys that grew up in my neighborhood, Hamels Projects, Far Rockaway, Queens. Shout out to my hood. Shout out to my hood. We were all cool with them. These people we went to school with, they stayed in their own circle. They didn't try to force, their lifestyles onto us. They didn't try none of that, never. And if you were somewhere, and if one of them was somewhere and I was somewhere and somebody was messing with them, and they was about to, just because they was I ain't look at them, and say, oh, they gay. Let them get their ass beat. Nah, you from the hood, you from the hood. Point
Hey, you
blank
still
period.
hear the echo?
Nah.
It's going okay, good. Good.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely. So if you from the hood, you from the hood. And that's right, judicially affirmed every hood, and they can fight. And I knew a couple of them that'll put the beats on the average dude. That's a fact. That is a fact. They stayed to themselves. They weren't trying to be overbearing, and in that, we didn't have we didn't have them as mentors. If they were in their own circles and they mentored themselves. They had to teach maybe those that had newly came out the closet or whatever, how to navigate being that in a world where it wasn't as accepting. We had our own set of challenges as young men to deal with. And most of those young challenges
Exactly.
most of those challenges centered around chasing, if I could say it, some cootie cat. I'll just say
Right.
it. That's what them challenges was centered around. And trying to be, a young man and present yourself in a certain type of way, et cetera, et cetera. And the OGs would help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
When Barack Obama says that you need all of these different men in your life, this is what your uncles are for. This is what your
Right.
father's friend are for. You got a lot of feedback coming through though, bro.
A lot of feedback.
Yeah, it's just background noise. more than anything. So when Obama is saying you don't just need the father can't be everything, that's just not true. That's Ali. Did you hear it when I played it?
I heard it. I
Yeah.
heard it, but
Mhm.
he had a weak father. I had a strong father, so
That's right.
my pops was everything to me. So I don't know what he talking about.
That's right. Ross says Obama's nanny was transgender allegedly, right? So again, this isn't bashing of the LGBT community or anything like that. I don't want nobody to get that confused. And I'm not one of those appeasers. It's like I don't rock with it. It's just as simple as that. But I still don't want anybody to get it confused. This is Barack Obama and the liberal agenda and the attempts by Democrats to defang quote unquote black masculinity, to defang us, point blank, period. And we got to address that. We have to address that, man. And I don't think that this is something that young men should hear. Barack Obama consistently disrespected young men. There were New York Times articles. Let me see. Let me see. What was the name of that article? Scold.
Well, I think he's trying to say, when I listen to the clip, what I think he's trying to say is that having gay people in your life or some kind of, yeah, gay people in your life will help to teach you tolerance. And I think that's the point that he's trying to make, is that having gay people in your life or associating with gay people on some level would help to teach you tolerance, um, and to remove some of, like he said, he would say ignorant stuff, but his teacher would call him out or whatever. And you know, I think that's what he's saying. But like, to the point that you made, there was always like some gay guy or something like that in the hood. Like when we grew up, there was a guy in our projects that everybody knew was gay, but he never pushed nothing on nobody. And let me tell you something, him being gay,
Your audio going out, brother.
how much that
Yeah,
still out.
yeah, you went out for about a good 15, maybe 10, 15 seconds. I mean, I
Still
can
out.
hear you, but it was just
Am I back?
underwater. Yeah, you in the matrix.
Oh, I was just saying that the gay guy in the projects didn't stop us from using the word faggot. So even even though we knew that he was gay and everybody basically tolerated it, it still ain't stop us from saying stuff that would be considered and anti-homosexual, whatever it is nowadays.
And I want Brother Ibrahim to jump in after this. When you look at this article, and we've brought this article up before on our platform, why does Obama scold black boys? The former president still can't see the beautiful and complex range of black culture. This guy's disconnected. His father is from Kenya. His mother was a white woman from Kansas who descended from slaveholders in the United States of America, right? So I want to read a little bit of this. I want Brother Ibrahim to jump in. Um, on Tuesday, former President Barack Obama spoke in Oakland, California at a town hall for My Brother's Keeper, an initiative to mentor young black men that he started after George Zimmerman killed Trayvon Martin in 2012. Mind you, this thing never reached the people. This was for Jack and Jill and Lynx, right? This was for the my kind of people crowd, or our kind of people crowd, if I'm saying the title of that book correctly. No, not one young brother in any neighborhood that needed this ever received mentorship from my brother's keeper. Not that I know of. I don't want to make but you ask any hood USA, were you a part of my brother's keeper? No, when you look at the people that were a part of my brother's keeper, it's just like the HBCUs where they're churning out this machine of liberalism, and the focus is putting black men behind black women. And that's what this thing is. This is why Obama talks the way that he talks. It says, he and the basketball player Stephen Curry discussed mentorship, masculinity, and mass incarceration. But his scolding of black boys drew the most attention. Mind you, there was another article that was written, I believe, in 2013 about the same topic. Quote, if you are really confident about your financial situation, Mr. Obama told the crowd, you're probably not going to be wearing an 8-pound chain, 8-pound chain around your neck. What just happened? Ali just dropped off. Because he continued, I got a bank account. I don't have to show you how much I got. I feel good, right? So he's scolding. His comments disappointed me, the writer says, because they're a part of problematic practices. It sounds like the same stuff that the right says, like calling out black children for having ghetto names like mine or wearing Air Jordans. Such remarks by Mr. Obama reflects his administration's failure, and to an extent that of my brother's keeper, to tackle the systemic inequality that shapes black people's lives in America. And dude goes on to break this thing down. He says, I went to Harvard Law School decades after Mr. Obama and his wife Michelle graduated. When I was there in 2014, nobody wore thick gold chains to show off their wealth. They wore thin ones to match their David Yurman bracelets. Canada Goose down jackets may as well have been part of a uniform during Boston winters. Students summered, took gap years, and graduated from Sidwell. Harvard was the first place I saw a Rolex in real life. I wonder if it was the same model as the $15,000 Rolex that Mr. Obama wears in the Kehinde Wiley painting of him in the National Portrait Gallery. Now, I don't need to read any more of this, but the writer is going on to tell you how black families were hit hardest during the financial crisis. We lost over half of our wealth. We've pulled up several reports showing that the Obama administration policies were horrific for American freedmen families during his reign or rule, while 101 million new millionaires were made up under him. Almost all of them were white. 101 million new millionaires. So Barack Obama is not in a position to mentor anybody. He's soft. He doesn't represent masculinity or manhood in any way. He was a feckless president. And if he wasn't, he pretended to be so that he could act like, well, Congress is holding me back from doing stuff from you. But that was never the case. Congress wasn't holding him back. He could have did everything that he was supposed to do. He decided that this would be political suicide, just like every other Democratic president. But what he did do was state that, Cousin Pookie, right? He said, go get Cousin Pookie off the couch. Where do you get that term Cousin Pookie from? Pookie and Ray Ray. These were derogatory terms that were started by misandrists that were the initial divestors on the internet. Dusty, Pookie, and Ray Ray were the three terms that came out of this movement. And it was a pejorative for black men in general, but especially those that came from the hood. And so you hear Barack Obama campaigning on go get Cousin Pookie up off the couch. He didn't do that this go round because people like myself exposed it with viral tweets on what's now called X. They got to look at all of that stuff now. And they looked at us in this movement. You know that for a fact. That's why they always talked about the movement. I want to play this one thing, and then I want my brother Ibrahim to jump in.
Why not target the African American community? Why not say then, this is for you? This is for African Americans. If there was a banking crisis, then you'd target money for the banks. If there was a national disaster, you target your money for the national for disaster relief.
That's not how America works. We want to give those young people and young Native Americans like them the support they deserve. We have to invest in them and believe in them and love them.
African American leaders have been critical of late. And it's true, you've said you're the president for all people, not just for one group. If I'm a 16-year-old kid on the south side of Chicago, okay, my dad's gone, my mom's working 10 hours a day for peanuts, all I see around me is blight, there are no help wanted signs, and you won't even say, look, I'm going to help you, a young African American, how do I feel?
Emmett, first of all, that's not what people are saying. What people are saying all across the country is, we're hurting and we've been hurting for a long time. And the question is, how can we make sure that the economy is working for every single person?
So, as you see, when it came to everybody else, Obama helped them. He said that we got to love those Native American children. We got to invest in those Native American children. And that's exactly what he and his administration did over 8 years. That's exactly what they did. But when it came to, no, Emmett, it doesn't work that way. It does. When it comes to us, a 16-year-old kid in Chicago who all he sees is blight, Emmett, it doesn't work that way. So Barack Obama is in no position to lecture us or our young men on what they need. That time is over. As Farrakhan told Mike Wallace in that interview, you should be quiet. You should be quiet. Ibrahim, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, this podcast thing has been real interesting. For a long time, I think me, as most of us, thought Michelle Obama had some intelligence, given her background, her education, her upbringing, the fact that they had went to the best colleges in America. And, for 2 terms, we saw her, just sitting around, basically just saying nothing, showing off these dresses that she said she was getting from Target. Later on, it would become Gucci and top designer brand. But anyway, she kind of just played the part, right? Just sit there, look smart, seem intelligent. Then she started this podcast. And this has been a breath of fresh air, right? For everything that you didn't know about Michelle Obama or the Obama household, she's just putting it all out there. And I'm like, wow, I would have never thought this woman would harbor these kind of ideas. Now you see Barack Obama is starting to get more into the mix. We actually, it didn't matter, what Barack Obama intelligence level was on, because we knew that he was a coward, right? What's good of having the intellect and not having the backbone. So that didn't matter. But now you get to see, both heads of the household, right? This conversation to me was just extremely gross. For one, Barack Obama was raised by, at first, a single white mother and then white grandparents, right? And it's just my guess, but when he's addressing Michelle Obama, I don't picture him talking to white kids. I picture him talking to black kids, and it may just be me. It may just be my bias, but we know from his 2 terms when black boys have never been enough, right? And black men has definitely never been enough. So it's always something that we're missing, something that he got off in Hawaii and Kansas, and something that we didn't get in Chicago and New York City and LA, right? We're just never enough, right? That's why he shows up at a HBCU and scolds black men that are in college, right? Overcoming the odds and trying to do the best they can while he's saddling them with more and more and more debt. But the most problematic part for me is that there's so much diversity you can have within your friend circle. He highlighted one, and for me, he highlighted something that was extremely problematic. why couldn't you have a friend that was like good at STEM or good at math or basketball or good at poetry, or you know what I'm saying? It's and you know, this is just me. Like I like we all have these images in our head when somebody's talking, right? And our mind, you know, is a great computer, and it's creating these images, it's creating this story. And I'm just looking at him say that, you know, it doesn't matter if you have a dad in your life, right? That he's not enough, right? And then he goes on to talk about his professor, and he was like, you know, you like, so my in college, my best math professor was a part of the LGBTQ community. He was a gay Hispanic male, right? And I respected him, and I learned math from him. Like he could break math down like no other professor could, right? So when you talk about like checking and correcting somebody, if he wanted to correct me when it came to math, I'm all there for it, right? But when he gets out of that, that's not your lane, right?
That's
Like,
right.
why do you need a gay anybody to come and correct a heterosexual black male, right? And this just takes me back to the hits that's been going on, you know, just, you know, masculine black males who want to head of households and want to be, you know, when it comes to gender and all that, traditional, right? It goes back to some of the hit pieces like Straight Black Man or the white supremacists of the black community, right? And for me, this is a continuation of this. It's just like, and it always comes back to no matter what you do, you'll never be enough. You're never enough, right? When Michelle Obama talks, it's like, Barack Obama, and he does this, and he got those big. It's like he was the first quote unquote black president of the United States of America, but she talk about him like he was the first person in his household to get a high school diploma, right? He's the first black man in the history of the United States of America to become president. But that same sentiment is carried on with Barack Obama when he addresses other black men is I am the epitome of black male. Like I set the bar, right? And you will never be me. But this is what you can do to become better. And for me, all of that is problematic when you look at his background, when you look at her background, and it's like you know. And I'll just say this before I end. You know, it would be nothing if he was just like Joe Smo, maybe Steve Harvey saying this, right? But this is somebody that got over 95% of the black vote, right? And we can say what we want to say about the Democratic Party, but he still has a lot of political cachet in our community, right? Even if he like came down like 10 points, right? He's still in the high 80% when it comes to. I was reading a post and they were arguing about, you know, him deporting 3 million illegals. And somebody was saying that, you know, like look at his number versus Trump, and you can go year to year to year. And I seen somebody come on there and say it don't, and this is the same thing that Angela Ross said on the Breakfast Club. It doesn't matter what he did. It mattered like who he was and how he did it. But there's always an excuse for him. So I'll just take it back to 2009 where you had all of these kids. They was going around to all these schools. They went around to a bunch of American freedmen. It looked like male schools, and like everybody was just on this Barack Obama high. Like I'm going to be the next Barack Obama. I'm going to be the next Barack Obama. Right? People saving those moments, whether it's the newspaper, the magazines that came out the next day, if they were able to make it to Grant Park and get some type of memorabilia, right? Because it was like this guy, like he bust through the door for us, right? And that was the feeling 2009 during his inauguration. And now, like, look how far we've come and regress. Look where
That's
we
right.
at now, to where every time he speaks, he's scolding the same men who looked
That's
up
right.
to him.
That's right. Sucker stuff. I think he's weak, brother Ali.
You.
Yeah, man. What's your thoughts on that, man?
Well, hey man, I agree. I agree with everything Ibrahim was just saying. Everything that he just said, I agree 100%. Um, and ultimately, it's like what I was trying to say was they think that, well, he thinks that you need a gay person to help teach you tolerance, but that's not true. That's not true. And basically, what what Ibrahim was pointing out is exactly what it is. They're trying to get gay people to correct straight black men. You need to be corrected by these people. And let me just say
Not your
this,
father. Not your father.
right? But yeah, your father. You don't need your father. You need these people. But what they're really saying is this, because something came to me while Ibrahim was talking. It's not really about gay people. It's really about trans people and the queer weird people, right? It's really about them. That's what it's about. They want people to accept all of this switched up stuff. Because we've had gay people around us for years, right?
That's
We
right.
never had the problems that we're having once the rise of the trans came. When the trans came, that's when all hell seems to have broken loose. And so what the Democrats are trying to do, particularly in this conversation we talk about Barack Obama, what they're really trying to do is get people to be tolerant of folks who are saying that men who are saying that they're women who are saying that they're men, people who are talking about their frogs and trees and all. They want us to be tolerant of and accepting of that. That's what it's about. It's really not even about gay people.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. That is a great perspective. And you're right, because like you said, and like I've said earlier, we've been tolerant. Ibrahim just spoke about his math professor, but like, come on, it's obviously clear. Some of the people that fight against us in the reparation, well, I don't even want to say the reparation space, because they're not reparationists. These are people that are against us, are trans. It's just, we just got to call it for what it is. And they believe that they're somehow stirring up confusion, et cetera, et cetera. And I think you hit the nail on the head with that one, man. That's what it is. That's what they really want you to accept. And when you talk to a lot of people from the gay community, the women, they tell you they don't really like the trans people. This was one of the things that Dave Chappelle was pointing out. He was pointing it out. He was like, they don't like the T's. they just don't. So I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. If there's Ibrahim Ali, I don't know if there's anything else y'all want to share before we move on to the next block of this presentation.
Nah, not really.
Yeah, that's it. I think this is the beginning. I mean, like we're in this like phase where it's just going to be more and more and more and more of this. Now I think the Obamas are just throwing their hat into the ring. I wish they would go back behind the scenes and do they 90 and $100 million deals with Netflix and just put out documentaries. But I guess they stepped into the podcast arena because that's the most prevalent thing right now. And the Democrats seeing what Trump was able to do with the podcast, and now they want to build theirs up for the next election. But I guess this is where we at.
But I think, and I also believe that it's backfiring, because conversations like this are happening. And I've seen several on X over the past week or so since this has been said. So we're going to move on to the next block of our live stream. We're going to
And
talk
you know
about.
what? Before you go, you made a great point. It's backfiring. It's going to continue to backfire because we're in a new space, right? People are now not afraid to make the criticisms that they were being chided for making when the Democrats were in control. So now you see people speaking up against all of that trans stuff, people that don't know what a woman is, people speaking up against all of that nonsense, just like you're getting people who are now not afraid to speak up against Israel and the stuff that Israel is doing. So you're in a different space now where people
That's
are
right.
not really afraid to voice how they truly feel.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's an excellent observation. People ain't scared no more, man. All of that stuff that Hollywood has been doing, all of that stuff is over with, man. It's a new day. It's a new day.
From civil rights to civic power, we are the descendants of those emancipated, still fighting, but now organizing. No more marching just for visibility. We're building political muscle, claiming public office, controlling our local economies. We're taking our rightful seat at the table, not asking. We are citizens. This is the civic power movement. Join us at Freedman University and be part of the legacy.
Yeah, man. So y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to our other YouTube channel, Freedman University, or what we call Free U. Y'all caught that? Free U? Okay, anyway. Y'all go subscribe to the channel, and we're gonna move to the next leg of our discussion. And it segues in perfectly because we're the focus of this
Check one.
discussion. Yeah. The focus, I can hear you, bro. The focus of this discussion is on our men, because that's what it is, what it's about. It's an attack on our men. So I want to play. I don't know which one of these I want to play first. This excerpt from Dr. Tommy Curry's book, or this post where his brother is breaking down basically how nobody cares about black men. I threw that up on Threads, and it went viral about a week and a half ago. So, what do I want to play for? You know what? I'll play the brother first. Let's play that first.
And I wrote them down to make sure I don't forget it. You don't care about mandatory paternity tests. You don't care about paternity fraud. You don't care about male suicide rates. You don't care about equalizing hard, laborious jobs outside. You don't want to equalize that. You don't care about what happens to people that are falsely accused, which is almost always exclusively men. You don't actually care about the declining school performance, the rise in ADHD diagnosis, and the psychiatric medication that comes from it. You don't care about the lack of homeless shelters for men. You don't care about the weaponization of the family court, the equal custodial rights, reproductive say for men, reduction in child support and alimony, pathologizing of just men and masculinity in general, negative attitudes towards even men that want a nuclear family. You don't think or care about any of these things. And I'm not even saying it's just the feminists that don't care about it.
Nobody
I'm saying most people who don't do what I do don't care about this at all. And you're creating, and we talked about this 80-20 rule. What's happening to the 80%? You don't care.
Not good.
And the beauty is if I just get the man I want, if I just get the partner I want, if I just, I don't care. I don't care about what's happening with men. Let's bring attention back to women. That's what the detective did in that show.
Right.
And that is what society in Western cultures is unfortunately like. Most people only care about males or boys or men if they are their brother, their son, or their father, or their uncle, or their close friend. This society, in the quest to be fair to women, to improve their rights, allow the worst representatives to take it to its furthest extreme.
Right.
When we talk so much about misogyny, most women can't tell you what the term is for a strong distaste and hatred for men. What's the term? What's
Misandry.
Misandry. Being a misandrist. Most men's experiences that we keep labeling as incels, we keep labeling as misogynists. Their experiences in coworker situations, in the schools, dating, on dating apps, is that a lot of women are either misandrous or they're so reductionistic of men that if you don't have the money, you have no say and you need to shut up. And even if you do have the money, it's happy wife, happy life once I'm in your life.
I mean, that was a powerful clip. That joint went viral on my Threads. I put that up about maybe 2 weeks ago, man. Go ahead, Ibrahim. You want to talk about it? You want to break that down? And then I'm
No,
gonna play.
I was just, it's funny. He came up. Somebody was saying something, and I can't remember the guy's name. Itmore IBG, something like that. He's a Manosphere podcaster, but they were talking about him. His name is Jeffrey St. James. He is a clinician. I think he did counseling psych and he's from Philadelphia, right? And they're calling him like the second coming of Kevin Samuels. That's I even think they've nicknamed him the Godson. But like so he's making his rounds when it comes to the manosphere. But no, I think it's right that and this is like the first segment kind of carries over to this segment because in the first segment, right, and I'm just tired of saying their names, but Michelle Obama, she centered that conversation. That like she just sat back and she kind of guided it where it needed to go. And if you listen to more of that conversation, she talks about how she created safe spaces and activities for Obama at 50 years old for him to participate with his friends and so they can have meaningful interactions, right? So I'm
That's
saying
fun.
that because it's what it comes down to is like if you want to be productive in a meaningful way, right? It has to be like framed and centered by a woman, right? And that's what he's getting at. Like all of these conversations that we having about family, about health, about mental health, right? About emotional stability, about economic stability, right? It all comes from the perspective of a woman, right? And he's saying like, y'all don't even like we're having these conversations about families, but y'all don't even take in that other perspective, right? Is it like big I, little you, right? So I thought that was good where he could like kind of, and this is how I always felt that the manosphere was doing. I envision this as like tug of war to where you know the second wave feminists have moved the goalpost so far over to their side that the manosphere is like sometimes it can be extreme. They're pulling it all the way back, and hopefully in the end it'll end up in the center. Right. So so sometimes when I see some of these guys like a Corey Holcomb, right, I don't know how he became this, but he's become the voice of the manosphere since Kevin Samuels died. I
Definitely
don't even
his
think he
voice is
wanted the crown, but I think if you go to like people whose rhetoric is often repeated and those who make videos like his is probably number one, but when you have people like him that's extreme, I think it helps because like I said the pendulum is so far over in the women's section that they're trying to like violently swing it back and hopefully by the end it just ends up in the center.
hmm Ali, what's your thoughts on what the brother was breaking down, man? He was saying that pretty much nobody cares about black men. And the only black men that people care about, and when he says that, he means women, are the ones that is in their grasp. We are told that we have to protect all black women, right? I don't care what's going on. She could have started a whole bunch of mess somewhere. It's your job as a black man to just go and get your ass beat up, right? But when it comes to, and the brother broke it down eloquently, and he was correct. Black men in general, nobody cares about us in general. You start talking about people being on the streets, people will tell you about homeless shelters for women and children. They'll never mention men. They'll say they don't care about start no men's homeless shelter because in their minds, a man is supposed to just automatically have it, regardless of our economic situations, which begs the question: if he's supposed to have it, why then are the women going through it the way that they are going through it? So there's a whole disconnect there, man. So we gotta address it. What's your thoughts, Ali?
I think it's a very valid observation that he's making. You know, nobody cares about men. So the bottom line is the way men are viewed is all men are able-bodied. You know, they say able-bodied men, but you don't know that everybody's able-bodied. You know, you don't know that people are even able-minded, let alone the body. They may or may not even be able-minded. And so there are people who need help other than women, but because the women are the ones who generally have the children in their possession, like the children live with them or they have custody of the kids. People are looking at it in the sense of, well, those are the ones that we need to help. If we're gonna help anybody, it'd be the woman, not because she has a kid. I mean, the woman because she has the kids, and not the man. You know, the man is always going to be viewed as a quote unquote able body in the minds of, larger society. The man is supposed to be able to just do, regardless of his educational background, regardless of his social circumstances, whatever. You're just supposed to be able to do, period. And that's just not the truth. It's not the truth. Boys grow up in impoverished environments just like women do, just like girls do. And sometimes they're caught up in cycles just like other people are caught up in certain poverty cycles. And so, yeah, you're right, man. Nobody cares about the men or the boys, but that's an error as far as I'm concerned. And when you start looking at it from the perspective of absentee fathers and stuff like that, well, this is all a part of it because, no one's helping people who may feel like certain things is out of reach for them. Everybody don't necessarily have it to get to college, to get a higher degree of education and stuff. And so there needs to be some forms of outreach and, assistance made available to men as well. So that's my take on it. I think it's a great observation. Yeah, people generally don't care about men, specifically black men, specifically
Specifically
black
black
men. Yeah.
men. So I want to play this piece from Sojourner Truth. We could touch on that as well. And then I want to get into some statistics, right? Because Ibrahim sent me a clip, or he put it in the inbox. He sent it to us, and I watched it, and I wanted to talk about it because what we seen was a bunch of liberal Democrat women repeating, and some of them are in fact man haters. Only thing you got to do is just listen to them. And I've listened to some of the women in that clip, and they're man haters on the low. They like to belittle black men, etc., etc. And they repeat this claim that black women are the most educated, black women are making the most money, black, right? And it's not. They're not saying that as a competitive fact toward the rest of society. They're only saying that as a competitive fact toward black men. So now you're competing with us while other groups are working together. It's one of the things Kevin Samuels actually used to break down on his live stream. Like, you're going to college to get an education to compete with a man, as opposed to us. Okay, you gonna go to college? Okay, cool. That ain't my thing. I work good with my hands, though. I can read this ruler very well. I can build decks and patios. I'm a great carpenter. You gonna go make your money on that side? I'm gonna make my money on this side if that's what you want to do, and we're gonna meet in the middle. We're not gonna use my degree as a cudgel to try to beat me over the head with it. Then I'm making more money than you. But we're gonna get to those. We're gonna get to those statistics. Let's play Sojourner Truth. Well, this is Dr. Tommy Curry from his book, The Man Not, and he's giving an example of Sojourner Truth. I should have uploaded that whole piece. It's about 5 minutes long, though, where he's talking about what's his name, man, Kwame Ture, and a quote that he made that been taken out of context by misandrists that's in academia. Like, they just, I don't know, man. This hatred for us is crazy, and I believe that the Obamas exemplify that. That's why so many black men voted for Trump this past election. So let's play this.
And men's, for that matter, economic and political power. There is no scholarship asserting that Sojourner Truth's "Ain't I a Woman" proves that she aspires to the powers, recognition, and status of white women denied to her, but a litany that criticizes black men for the slightest similarity to white thought or rhetoric concerning manhood. Are only black males envious of the position of the dominant classes? Take, for example, Truth's famous condemnation of black men getting the right to vote, which has been quoted for years as evidence of the historical concern black women have had about black male political advancement. There is a great stir about colored men getting their rights, but not a word about the colored women. And if colored men get their rights and not colored women theirs, you see the colored men will be masters over the women, and it will be just as bad as it was before. So I am for keeping the thing going while things are stirring. Because if we wait till it is still, it will take a great while to get it going again. White women are a great deal smarter and know more than colored women, while colored women do not know scarcely anything. They go out washing, which is about as high as a colored woman gets, and their men go about idle. Truth believed black men were more brutal than the white men who orchestrated slavery, and black women were less intelligent than the white women who ruled over them. The historian Paula Giddings explains that the difficult circumstances of Truth's life gave her a distorted view of whites and blacks. Consequently, says Giddings, Truth shares a sentiment of black men eerily similar to that of Elizabeth C. Stanton, who believed that it would be better for a black woman to be the slave of an educated white man than of a degraded, ignorant black one. If Truth's quote remains a reminder of the danger black male politics has posed since the mid-19th century, then...
And that's when he gets into the Kwame Ture quote. Now, before y'all give y'all commentary, I want to share this. This is a tweet. I made sure I saved this from Jamel Hill that she made. When was this? Back in October of 2020. And this tweet highlights exactly what Dr. Tommy Curry broke down in that book. There's never white women black women trying to aspire to be like white women. There's only black men that are trying to aspire to be like white men. And this is what they teach in HBCUs and in universities. And this is what young black men are subjected to. And they come out weak. They come out like a Barack Obama. Let's read this. I have increasingly found that many black men just want better access to patriarchy. They don't actually want it dismantled. By patriarchy, she means whiteness, white maleness. Let's read it again. I have increasingly found that many black men just want better access to patriarchy. So here, black men and patriarchy are two different things. And the conjunctive point is access between black men and patriarchy. Well, who rules the patriarchy? White men, obviously. One of the things that Dr. Tommy Curry does in this excellent book of his, I would love to get him on the platform. I've actually reached out to him before. I don't know. Maybe we rub some people the wrong way when they check out our content. I don't know. But one of the things that he broke down was something called, it was like the myth of hegemonic masculinity. And hegemonic masculinity, which is another of these academia man-hating misandrist type terms, what that is that the power of is concentrated among men, typically white men. Hence Jamel Hill's tweet. This is what she learned. This is obviously learned behavior. This isn't something that she experiences. She just tweets this nonsense, especially during an election cycle. And so Dr. Tommy Curry in his book provides counters to the myth of hegemonic masculinity by highlighting the fact that women who were in the same position as men, CEOs, presidents, supervisors, etc., exhibited the same exact traits as men that held those positions. So it's not the man, it's the position that makes you poke your chest out, makes you probably think you're a little bit better than or higher than the average individual, right? Dr. Tommy Curry, make sure y'all get that book, The Man Not. It is a must read. It is a must have for anybody trying to understand why there is a gender divide or a quote unquote gender war in the first place. Brother Ibrahim, what's your thoughts on the piece that I played, man, with Sojourner Truth and the Jamel Hill tweet, etc.? You on mute, bro.
That's just something that's hard to swallow, that somehow in these gender wars that we are in competition with the same people that we share the same everything with, right? Everything. even down to our, the way we, like culture, family, lineage, food, everything. And somehow, I don't want to say this. I think this is something that's get trafficked in the manosphere, and I don't know if it's true or not. But many people do feel like black women are black men greatest enemies. That if you go back to the O.J. Simpson case, you'll notice in L.A. at the time when you have a dwindling black population, most of his jurors was black women because they felt that if you want to convict a black man, get some black women, right? So like this is something that's been going on for a long time. But even if you was to say like we were in some type of competition because of however society has broken the family apart, right? If that's true, we don't even get to compete against like the actual black woman. You're competing against a myth. So like we can never win. You're just chasing a ghost, right? Because every time you get into these conversations is what black man isn't, and then on the opposite side of that is what black women is, right? And it's they have the most degrees, which is false. And I've heard people say they're buying the most homes and they're starting the most business and they're doing the most, and it never comes up. And this is not me degrading black women because I feel like if we're not, we should be on the same team. That's the only way we're going to make it, right? But nobody talks about the eviction notice, the the pretty much within the last 3 months, and I haven't seen the data from it was just February, March, April, I believe, where it said, 100,000 black women have lost their job each month, right? Nobody talks about that, or just access to health care, right? Knowing that, because their body goes through so many changes, especially when they get pregnant, they need it more than men, right? Nobody talks about all of this. And these are all like the failures of of how we've collectively done politics, right? But somehow when it comes to us, everything gets put on our shoulders, right? Oh, y'all have the highest unemployment rate. Y'all not graduating high school at the same rate. Y'all not going to college at the same rate, right? And you just black out everything. So like even if we were competing, you don't get to compete against the actual resume of black women. You get to compete against the myth and aspirations and the anomalies. And somehow we all have to compete against this, right? We like you don't like if you live at 55 South Indiana Street, you don't get to compete with the woman down your block. Now you got to compete with the woman that work on K Street in DC. We all have to compete against her, right? So it's just how things are matched up. And I don't, I try not to feed into it, but it, like I see what I see, especially around election time when these narratives get brought out about what we are not and how we pretty much just need to shut up and appoint black women to lead us, right? I think that's real hurtful. That's a form of emasculation. And what it's saying is the same thing that Obama said, black men are not enough. Everybody else, man, is enough. Everybody else, man, is good enough to where if they woman is, doing a little bit more successfully better than them, he's and he's like mentally and physically capable, he's enough to invest in, right? Because he can, eventually be able to take over and multiply whatever you have. But when it comes to us, it's like, no, like if I got mine, then he need to have his, he need to have twice his. And I'm where does this rhetoric come from in today's society and today's economy when we're both hurting, right? Post pandemic, everybody's hurting. I don't care what y'all doing on the internet. In real life,
That's right.
everybody's hurting, right?
That's a
So
fact.
it's just sad for me that even if this was a true narrative, which it is not, we don't get to compete against the actual thing. We have to compete against the myth, and you'll never beat a ghost.
That's right. That's right, brother Ali. What are your thoughts on that Sojourner Truth clip in this Jamel Hill tweet, pretty much confirming what Dr. Curry he said in his book?
You know what's crazy? I couldn't hear the Sojourner Truth audio for whatever reason. I couldn't even hear it.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, but in terms of Jamel Hill, you know, these people are BS artists, basically, right? They're BS artists, and they're pushing this agenda because they really would love to control men, and that's just a sad state of affairs. I don't even understand why you would want to control men. Like, why do you want that? And then turn around and complain about men not being leaders. Because a lot of these people will complain about men not being leaders and not. So I just think that it's a lot of confusion. And that's basically the problem that the liberals and Democratic Party are having is that they're pushing a lot of confusion. People are trying to take on roles that they shouldn't be taking on, and they want to put men in positions that they should not be in, and then be mad about it later. We don't have any strong men to save us, and yeah, but you want them to be emasculated. That's what you want. You're pushing for that. You want to be the man until it's time to really get busy in a man's style. Then you don't want to be that no more. You don't want that responsibility. Now you want a man to come, but you done made them and you want them all to be females. So it's stupid. It's a lot of confusion.
Yes, indeed. I mean, so now we could get into some statistics. We want to get into some statistics because this narrative has to stop. This narrative has to stop. Like Ibrahim said, I'm not competing as a black man with the person from the neighborhood that I live in. I'm actually now competing with some woman that's obviously making it on. I'm gonna use Wall Street, right? So, right, I gotta compete with that person, not with the person that's in the neighborhood that works at the Dollar Tree. No, I gotta compete with this uh, Miss Boss Chick. That's what I gotta compete with. So let's get into some statistics. Let me stop sharing this man hater Jamel Hill. Um, so of course, in the age of I love this stuff. Get to throw some questions up in there. So I put it, I put a prompt in Claude first, very detailed, and then, and I don't know if I don't know, I want to read it, but it's probably too much to read. I put that into Chat GPT to have Chat make a what's going on. We got brother Josh in the building
Peace,
to
peace.
peace to make a some points, some bulletin points of it. Yeah, I'm gonna get into this too, Sister Shanna. New study reveals higher eviction rates among black women. This came out in 2025. Sister Shanna, could you send that to my inbox, please? Because if I pull it up now, I may forget to read it. And plus, I'm not on YouTube. I'm on the back office of StreamYard, so I can't click on any links. Let me see. That's a fact, Mr. X. They get all of their talking points from white liberals and white women. That's a fact. That's where this whole patriarchy thing comes from. That's where it comes from. So let's get into some statistics. Let's get into some statistics. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. Do I got 2 pages open? I do have 2 pages open. This doesn't need to be open. Just this one right here. All right. So I'll put this up in here and hopefully y'all can see that. Let me see how it looks on y'all's end. See if I could blow this up some. I want to run through these points because this is important. Let's run through some of this. Okay. So the black gender paradox in America. Now, I gave Claude a detailed prompt of exactly what I wanted it to research. And, we know a lot of this stuff. So for us, it's nothing to do a detailed prompt, and then have it create a report, which is exactly what it did. I'm going to go over it, obviously, and rewrite it because that's what we do. And I'm going to publish that because I believe that it needs to be published. The myth has to be deleted from the minds of the people that black women are actually doing better than black men in the United States of America. That's just the furthest from the truth. But let us look at this dynamic. The black gender paradox in America. Black women have made major educational gains and are reshaping household dynamics. Despite higher education levels, black women still face income disadvantages. They outpace black men in degrees and home ownership, right? This is something that they brag about all the time, but earn less individually. Intersectional discrimination, race plus gender, creates unique barriers for black women. They are ignoring that aspect, right? The race and gender aspect. So whereas white women may only have to deal, well, not may, only deal with the gender issue, and that's if they are being paid less than their white male counterparts. If, because I mean, when people are working at a job, now if you're talking about corporate jobs, that may as well be. But the amount of regular labor jobs dwarfs the corporate position. There may be 10 executives over a company of 500 people. Those 500 people, for the most part, are going to be earning the same amount. If you are a male engineer and a woman engineer for a company, they're not going to say we're going to give this guy $27 an hour and only give you 23. No, you both are going to make that 23, 20. So these are, for the most part, corporate numbers where women are being paid less. Until I see a study that shows me otherwise, I've never been at a job where a woman was making a lesser hourly wage than I or any other man was making. So that deserves nuance as well.
What you have is these posts. I seen a post that said like 97% of secretaries are women and 97% of firefighters are men. Why do firefighters make more money than secretaries, right? And then, we just had the WNBA All-Star game in Indianapolis, and the whole thing is pay us what you owe us. And the NBA players make $126,000 to play in the NBA All-Star game, and we only make $2,600 to play in the WNBA All-Star game, right? There needs to be parity. And when you just look at it from the outset, it's like, there's something there. But when you dig a little bit deeper, you're like, whoa,
That's right.
these things aren't adding up at all.
That's right. That's right.
Can I
So,
say something to that?
oh yeah, go ahead, definitely.
Yeah, one thing that is key to understand in this dynamic is, you know, well, another role that's key to understand is government, right? It's in particular government jobs, because in the private sector you can see a lot of that, right? You can see the private sector is free to hire, and it's not much disclosure uh, publicly anyway, and it's not a whole lot of parameters around pay as it is for government work. Government work is not just to where you can negotiate. Oh, hey, I want to come in today and make way more than what everybody else is making just because okay, I know somebody, or I got the hookup, or I got some extra experience, or whatever the case may be. No, there's a whole system for where you rank in the government, and you have to go through some. And I'm not trying to say that that's the best system, but I want to say that, and for corporate jobs in the private sector, you see a lot more of that than in the public sector. For our people, we're uh, and I don't know somebody else if you can pull up statistics, but I want to say we're disproportionately represented in the public sector jobs because of their The public sector jobs they seem to be less discriminatory. A lot of those jobs, in particular, like city jobs, people working for the city. I know, like I live in the DC area. And it's a whole lot of black folks, way more black folks that seem to work for, government jobs in the city. The largest employer, I think, for black folks in America is the Postal Service, and you know. I don't believe there's much gender discrimination in terms of pay there. And what I don't want to happen is people take what we're saying and it's making it to like uh, we're trying to minimize the reality of the pay gaps because they do exist. But I think we just need to understand from the context of our people. And, and overall, this is that fight. The conversation needs to be about the family. This whole gender divide thing is like, um, we don't have, when you think about divide and conquer, my son was asking me earlier today about, strategy, because he's into like world wars, World War I, World War II. And he was talking about, how is it that a country or two countries can now lay claim to somebody else's country? Like they were talking about, he was just talking about Russia and Germany, and they just decided they cut a deal. This is before World War II started. Russia was thinking it was gonna negotiate a deal with Germany to where they would split up Poland. They split up parts of Eastern Europe. And so I was like, how can these countries just decide that they were gonna, because that's what we call divide and conquer. Instead of warring with yourself, you don't go to war, internally. You go and divide your forces up so you can accomplish something bigger. While you in agreement, you realize, okay, this is yours, this is mine, but we gonna agree to not fight so we both can conquer this big land. And I think part of the whole gender divide thing, you notice that it's a gender divide, but it's not a gender divide to conquer. It's just a gender divide to destroy ourselves. Like that doesn't make sense. We're supposed to divide so that we can go out and conquer. We understand that there's whatever issues and there's unique differences amongst black men and black women, but we're supposed to understand at the end of the day, it takes those two to come together to make the black family or the freedom family. And we should operate with the purposes of conquering, of achieving our political goals, improving our situation, not from just destroying ourselves. That don't make sense. Go ahead, Naheem.
No, definitely. Definitely. That was an excellent analogy. And it's pretty much what I had said earlier. It's like, nah, that's not my thing, the college route. But if that's the route you want to go, you go that route. You go make your money over there. I'm going to go into this field and I'm going to bring this money over from over here. And we're going to meet in the middle, right? Conquering by being divided, if you will, but being on the same team. So let's get back to these numbers. Educational achievement drives household transformation, right? So, yes, black women do go to college more often. One of the things that Kevin Samuels used to stress was that many black women were going to college with the intent of, I don't need a man. I want to do it on my own. So they didn't go for the same reason that Josh just laid out, to divide up them, to divide that field up or the labor market up, right? With the labor market being representative of Poland, and you take this part, I'm gonna take this part, and then we're gonna equally rule, and we're gonna bring our loot and booty back to the table and split it up for our benefits. No, it's as if one is trying to get ahead of the other. This is why this is being spoken of in the way by liberal democratic black women. Every time you hear one of them repeat these statistics, they are driving the wedge between our men and our women. So, yes, in 2024, 38% of black women ages 25 to 34 have bachelor's degrees versus 26% of black men. From 1995 to 2024, black women's college attainment grew 171%, black men's grew 63%. Black women now earn 64% of bachelor's degrees, 72% of master's degrees, 66% of doctoral degrees awarded to Black students. Educational gaps rooted in systemic issues affecting Black boys. So now we have to look at, why are Black boys not attaining the same level? School becomes something, I don't think anybody likes school, right? Young boys, young girls. But for our young freedmen boys, we have to go through the ringer. There was a study done where the participants was asked to point out the problematic student, and the technology focused on their eyes. They were shown a bunch of students playing, and one of them was a Black boy. It was everybody else, Black girl, Chinese, white, etc., Puerto Rican, Mexican, maybe. Everybody's eyes, when asked, focus on the problematic. Now, none of them are being problematic. All of them are sitting there playing. Nobody's doing anything bad. But this is due to generations of programming. Generations of programming that makes people look at Black men, starting from when they're babies, in a negative type of way. So it continues: disproportionate school suspensions and arrests. Of course, if you're being castigated and picked on by your teachers when you're little, if you're always the problem, I tell my story all the time. One time I got sent to the dean's, and I don't like doing anecdotes, but my anecdotes always seem to fit the study. So at times I don't mind sharing. It was downtime. My teacher, his name was Mr. Grady, junior high school, 180, Far Rockaway, Queens, New York, Rockaway Beach, to be exact. And we were all playing, like, shoot 'em up, just ducking behind the desk. Everybody in the back of the class. And of course, it was mostly boys. This dude screams my name out of everybody's name and tells me to go to the dean's office. Everybody's looking like, what did he do? What's happening? What's going on? My dean's name was Mr. DiNapoli. So for those of you that's from Far Rockaway, or you grew up in the era that I grew up in, or even before me, because he was the dean before I got there, you know exactly who I'm talking about. And I was no stranger to Mr. DiNapoli's office. But and this was some of the, I guess maybe this was one of the things that set it off. I don't know. But you had to submit a dean slip. And the teacher would tell you would write what the infraction was on a dean slip. So about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes go by, and one of the other students brings in the dean slip to Mr. DiNapoli. Mr. DiNapoli reads what it says. Deshaun was in the back of the class, grabbing his genitals and pointing it towards other students. This dude just made this shit up. We were all in the back of the class, pew, pew, like ducking behind the desk. It was downtime, and he would let us let loose when we were in the class, and that's some of what we used to do back in the days. It wasn't just reenacting Boys in the Hood. Those movies wasn't out yet. It was cowboys and robbers and stuff like that we were emulating when we were young. I know I'm telling my age right now, but that's what we were emulating. This guy just lied, man. Just lied. And I got in trouble for that. And no matter what I said, Mr. DiNapoli did not believe me. It didn't matter. I did what that white teacher put on that paper. And it's not just white teachers, it's Black ones too. A Black math teacher told my son, you're never going to make it in life. You might as well just go ahead and drop out. Now, he told me this after the fact, because I would have went up there and tried to get that chick fired. I would have tried to get her fired. And this was in Georgia. Mine was in New York. So the weight is on us as Black men, starting from when we're young boys in this country. Also, it notes limited access to college prep courses. It then says, despite gains, Black women are underrepresented in STEM. 1% of engineering degrees, 2.6% of computer science degrees. So basically, a lot of the jobs that Black women are receiving degrees in are not high paying jobs. So for the people that are driving this wedge, using these statistics to make it appear as if this is some type of flex or something, it's really not. It's not when you break it down. Income disparities persist despite educational advantages. Black women earn 92 cents for every dollar Black men earn. 2023 data. Now, this isn't saying that uh, Black women working the same jobs as Black men are receiving less pay. No, it goes to what I just said, that which is highlighted in the next point. Even with degrees, Black women earn less because some of the degrees that they are obtaining for the fields that they've studied, they're not lucrative paying degrees. While a Black man could go get a job at a warehouse and with overtime make $60,000, $75,000 a year. So, and it breaks down. Bachelor's degree, $1,274 a week for Black women, and Black men with bachelor's degrees, $1,474 for our men. Different fields. This is not a straight comparison. Black men choose different fields, and I had the AI break all of that down as well. Occupational segregation contributes to lower wages. Black women in service, healthcare, and education, Black men in transportation and manufacturing. That's why we see the gap in pay between Black women and Black men. It's the fields that they're choosing to go into. Compared to white men, Black men earn 62%, Black women earn 57%. So we shouldn't be in competition with each other. Unlike what Jamel Hill is saying, because there is no patriarchy. Again, Dr. Tommy Curry breaks down in his book that hegemonic masculinity is a myth, that women, when they get into the same positions of power, have the same exact attitudes toward the people that are beneath them. And we know that Jamel Hill probably won't ever read that book, nor any of her acolytes or anybody
Yo,
in that field of study. Go ahead, bro.
yeah, I want to say another thing too. What we really need to look at in these statistics is if you want to break, if we want to get in the weeds of the gender disparities in terms of income, we need to look at rates of business ownership because it's not necessarily specifying wages all the time when we look at the raw numbers. Uh, I haven't looked at the numbers, but I'm just saying when we're looking at the raw numbers, it doesn't tell the full story like you're saying. And I would like to see the statistics. I don't know if anybody can pull them up on the gender disparity in terms of percentage of business ownership. Like what percentage of Black women own businesses and what percentage of Black men own
That
businesses?
may
Because when
may
you
be
look,
in here.
okay, let's think
It
about
may
that
be.
because when you think about it, right, um, if you are owning a business, let's say you sell insurance, right? You own a store or something. You have a sole proprietorship. If men are more likely to run those type of businesses, and we know most businesses, especially the Black businesses, don't even employ one additional person outside of the person that started it, right? But if we think about those businesses, if they're going to be making more money as a business owner than than a woman would, or than a non-business owner, a person working in a job, obviously then you're going to make more money than a woman. If you have way more people into that profession, if you have more people into sales, or some of those people may be contractors in the sole proprietorship, or some people may work as contractors instead of W-2 employees. Um, those people are going to make more money. But so when we're looking at it, it's not like, okay, you're working a job, I'm working the same job, making more money. This is across the board. What is your income? Do I have a portfolio of properties where my rental properties I'm getting more money? Okay, how many? What's the rate of men having that type of business to women having that type of business? So, I think it's more nuanced to that, and if we want to get into it, if you think about it, men oftentimes are risk takers, right? Because we're willing to sleep on the couch and sleep on the floor and eat ramen noodles and not have to invest in my nails, my hair, and we understand that. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying that's a different type of thing. That's a different type of mentality. Women, they need certain things, and especially if they want to be independent and not going to be relying on a man to provide that. So they're going to go for the security. The man is going to be more of a risk taker, and I'm speaking generally. I'm not, it's not going to work across the board. But I'm just saying, we need to also consider that. It's consider that, and that's a natural part of what makes us unique. We need the women to care for the family. If women are going to be, caring for children, they can't afford to be taking those risks. If women are going to be spending time more on concentrating on home, they can't afford to not be having to skip paying bills and stuff and having the lights cut off and float until their next check clears or something. Because that you got to do that type of stuff as an entrepreneur. So, anyways, I just wanted to bring that element up, and I'm
No,
gonna pass
definitely.
it back to you.
Definitely. Ibrahim touched on this earlier. Economic losses post 2009 hit black women harder than black men. Home ownership patterns reflect changing economic dynamics, right? So they talk about black women own more homes, okay? From 1990 to 2019, black women's home ownership went up by 5.6%. Black men's went down by 8%. Single black women outpace single black men in home ownership. Fastest growth among black women and millennials. Regional disparities. Southern states, higher black home ownership, 50 to 53%. Northern and Western, lower rates with gaps up to 51 percentage points, right? So, we could get into all of the rest of this stuff, but I want to get to this part. Marriage dynamics, it says, showcases women's economic leadership. And 26% of black marriages, the wife is the primary breadwinner, highest among racial groups. Now, 26% of black marriages. That's not all black marriages. That means that there's still, 74% of black marriages where men are the primary breadwinners. But the way these statistics get plucked out, it make it the women, the liberals, the misandrists would make it seem as if black women are now the breadwinners of the family. And I've heard these talking points before. That's why I wanted to bring this up tonight. Only 40% of black marriages follow the traditional male breadwinner model, right? The 34% are egalitarian. Both spouses earn 40 to 60% of income. So let me correct myself. So 40% of black marriages are, where the man is the breadwinner, and 34% are egalitarian, where both spouses earn 40 to 60%, or do a 40-60 split of income. Black men earn more than black women, and so we can assume that that 60% is coming from the men, which kind of
Don't
still
sound like
makes me question.
patriarchy to me.
Yeah, no, damn sure don't sound like no patriarchy to me. Only 31% of black Americans are married versus 48% of all Americans. So we also have a smaller sample size to choose from. Breadwinner wives face wage gaps. They earn 52% versus black breadwinner fathers. Earn 44% versus white breadwinner fathers. Black wives still perform 3.5 more hours a week of unpaid domestic labor. I don't like how they put that. And even, chat is going to pull from the extant sources available. But unpaid domestic labor is BS. You mean taking care of the house. That's what's meant by unpaid domestic labor. This is such a bad way to put this, because the feminists that want to see our families broke up, they use this as another wedge. What about the unpaid domestic labor? I've heard it so many times over and over again. Dual earner black households incomes are 135,000 to 145,000. Poverty rate 1% at, I'm guessing at that. So I got that from, I got to look at that and see exactly what that means. And there's other things that I can pull up as well. I asked it for a side by side comparison, to show where black women and black men are comparable, and, based on the information that was given. The purple represents black women, the blue represents black men, and we see bachelor's degrees where women outpace black men. Again, black men typically don't go into those fields of colleges. They go get skilled labor jobs.
Brother Naheem.
Mm-hmm.
So this data right here, I'm wondering, is this single black men and single black women,
So
or
yeah, so some
married?
of it. So look, so this next one, home ownership for single black women is higher than home ownership for. So if I would have pulled from the Claude article, it was a whole study. So I didn't want to read like the whole study. So I just had chat make the bullet points that I just read off. So, but we can get into some of it, but it does break down home ownership by single men and single women, right? We can assume that bachelor's degrees, college age, most black people are not getting married in college, and we have such a low marriage rate. Most black women will tell you they're going to wait to after they receive their degrees, and then they're going to find a man that matches them in their income and wage range, and then they're going to get married and settle down. So I don't think you can. Well, I think a metric should have been done on home ownership of married couples versus home ownership of single couples, right? So now you have the home ownership of black men. And then this breaks down by renters as well. I've got that broken down. Black men actually rent more than black women do, but black women get evicted more. I have all of these things broken down in this and the other breakdown that I have on Claude. And I wanted to get into this to show that, these things are being touted as if black women need to be separate from men. When I hear, Kendra G and all of these other people that suffer from what I call boss bitchetis cite these numbers, right? We see STEM degrees, black women, naturally lower. This is not something that many black women are into: science, technology, and mathematics, engineering and mathematics. Somebody just came in. All right, that's Ibrahim.
That's the inflammation of the ego. Is that what that is? Because itis, anything with itis means inflammation.
Say it again.
So that's it. That means inflammation of the ego. Because anything with that itis at the end means inflammation.
I don't understand what you mean, bro.
The medical terminology you just used.
What did I just say? Because I just forgot.
Boss,
Oh,
something.
boss bitchetis. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
inflammation. I like that. Inflammation of the ego. I just caught on. All right, I put since 2020, which demographic got evicted more? Right? Eviction rates by gender in the black community 2020 to 2023. Across 1,200 counties studied, an estimated 113,415 black women were evicted annually, compared to 83,182 black men. That's a 36.3% higher eviction rate for black women than for black men, right? You're not going to hear black men getting on platforms and boasting about these numbers and then say, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth. These are just the facts. These are just the facts. You're not going to hear that because this isn't something to brag about or boast about. But we keep our apartments more than you do. But why is it that our women have been programmed to say, well, we get more college degrees than you do? And what does that mean exactly? But we're smarter than you are. Okay, then why aren't you making more money? Somebody's programming this into the minds and it's causing this rift, and we can't heal as families. That's why I want to touch on it. And if it's making people uncomfortable, I don't care. That's what this thing is supposed to do. It's supposed to make people uncomfortable because what we are about over here is about freedmen families. And in freedmen families, like every other family across the world, men are at the head. Point blank, period. Point blank, period. Pre-pandemic, Black women, and y'all jump in, Black women had a slightly higher filing rate. Now, this is pre-pandemic, 7.9% versus 7.5%. During the pandemic, the gap shifted slightly, placing Black men at a marginally higher risk of filing, but overall, Black women remained more likely to be listed. So we see RSF Journal there, Eviction Lab. Now, a lot of those programs were being pushed toward Black women. They were being pushed toward Black women. Like I said earlier, you talk about homeless people on the street. Nobody says, I want to open up a men's shelter. People typically say, I want to open up a shelter for women and children. But forget you, Black. Forget you, Black man. Y'all go live out on the street. Y'all get it out the dirt. Eviction risks in households with children. Among renters with children, filing rates were Black women 12.1%, Black men 10.9%. Black women with kids account for 28.3% of all eviction filings, the highest share of any group. Just running through all of this stuff, what I'm highlighting right now is it shows that we're weaker apart. And the women that are earning high amounts of money, that are your content creators that run their own YouTube platforms and all of this stuff, that are making a lot of money, they are misleading women who are working regular 9 to 5 jobs, and they're coming back and they're looking at their men as if their men are lesser than them. In many cases, the men are making more than they're making. And this is why we've seen all the women going on Kevin Samuels talking about, I want a man earning 6 figures, et cetera, et cetera. And she's never dealt with or dated men that earn that much. And she doesn't date that much, typically, the women that went on that platform. And we've seen this across different platforms. We've seen this with Kendra G. She's a misandrist. She just tries to mask it in her dating show, but she has called out women for wanting the, pretty much uh, men of this tax bracket, and pointing out how delusional they are, but then still taking a shot at men in the very next breath. We'll never heal with these types of actions going on. Our
Can I jump in
families.
on it?
Oh yeah,
Go
definitely, and
ahead. Go ahead.
everybody else jump in as well.
No, I just want to say to that, I understand, right? Everybody wants to escape the badges and incidents of slavery. Everybody wants to escape that stain of slavery. I understand. You want to not be shackled by that. And yeah, of course you want to be with people that can help you not have to experience those the same level of intensity of the consequences of slavery and its badges and incidents. However, the reality is that's what we got to deal with as freedmen. That's what we got to deal with, and it's not going to improve by us, being at war with each other. It's not going to improve by us, being in denial. It's not going to improve by us just seeking individual escape. It's going to improve by collective action and collective family building and intentional action, intentional politics. So, we always got to keep that in mind. And I before I move on, I just want to shout out to our freedom sisters and sisters in this chat, the people that have been supporting us throughout the years for their level of maturity that they maintain in these type of conversations, because they get it. They understand that this is a freedom collective issue,
Mhm.
not a thing that is isolated, because then you playing into the game. Like if you go back to the example I was given with the countries, right? The countries that were they were dividing themselves to go and conquer different parts of different lands. They were splitting it up. They were making a deal so they could come back and collectively enjoy the spoils. But the strategy to do this was to make sure that the people were divided up to fight amongst each other. They exploited divisions. So, you know, uh, we can't like fall for the okie doke of this type of exploitation that we see on at the hands of people that are just looking for, political expediency or um, they see a way, they look at a strategy like, hey, I'm not going to do nothing for you, but if I can make you feel better than somebody else, so if I can put you at odds with somebody else and show you support. I don't know if y'all remember that movie Lord of War with Nicolas Cage. And Nicolas Cage, he was selling guns to, like, I think it was like Liberia or something, Congo. And he was like, hey, I don't want them to be stable. I feast on the destabilization, because I can sell them guns and they'll pay me in diamonds. They paying me in diamonds for some guns. They're not paying me in cash. And I can fund both sides. And if he doesn't want to pay, I can threaten to go to the other side. So if you think about like what various political parties are doing on the both sides of the gender war, it's like, are we gonna be we understand the tactics. Are we gonna continue to fall into that, or are we gonna be mature? Are we gonna stand up and be like, nah, this is about I don't hear y'all language talking about the freedom family. You talking about black women, or on the right, you talking about black men, or you just trying to appeal to men, period. Nah, it's about the freedom of family. So put your little ego aside. Stop getting caught up in that bull crap, because that's what we know. We know that play that the Democrats been running. They still running it, as we saw with Obama. And let me, I hate to get off to a tangent, but I didn't get a chance to say my piece on that Obama piece. I know you saw in the chat earlier, Naheem, in our personal chat, when I asked you that question.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I got something a little different from that exchange with Obama, because it seemed like he wasn't necessarily saying that every black man needs a gay man. He was kind of saying every man. This is my take from it. Every man needs somebody other than his dad. But then he had to throw the alley oop to that community. Yeah, I don't know why. This is my gripe with that. I don't know why everybody, like particularly Democrats and especially Obama, is always trying to like gas up and sell other groups on us, but then there's never that same energy to tell other groups, you know what, you need to get you a good black sister. You need to get you a good freedman in your life, because you can learn to see, you can learn that you need to hang around some old black folks. I never hear that. I never hear about the benefits of being socially associated with our people sold to other groups. You know what I mean? It's always everybody else is being sold to us. We need to, you need to get in line with Latinos. You need to get in line with. It's never, hey man, y'all need to link up to freedmen. They know about their freedom fighting. They know about making America enforce the Constitution and standing up for justice and making America be about what it has in its foundational documents. I never hear that. That's the problem I have. Like in this whole conversation, you know, like that's the biggest problem. It's never freedmen being talked about in a positive light and sold and pushed on other people. It's always other people ram down freedmen's throat in spite of when we say we have some problems that people are not treating us right. And what that communicates non-verbally is freemen are untouchables. Freemen are the bottom. You don't want to have nothing to do with them because you never have nothing to say to them positive except for, to other people about that's positive about us. Other than when you're talking to us, you always patronizing. So how does that look to them? That says, damn, you even look at us as less than them. So we need to act accordingly. So yeah, that. I just wanted to say that because I didn't get a chance to chime in on that. I came in a little bit after, but back to you.
No, definitely. That's why I put the clip in there so you could hear exactly what he said, because he said every young boy needs that. So that type of person to, I guess, have a diverse circle, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're
I
right.
dis-
You're right. The
yeah, I
problem.
disagree. I just disagree, and I gave a breakdown earlier on the gay people in the community that I grew up in, which I could probably assume is like every other community. They stayed to themselves. They wasn't about trying to push no agenda on you or none of that. They had their own set of challenges that they dealt with. They got mentored by the people of their communities because of the challenges that they were dealing with. Those of us that were, just uh, regular, we had to deal with regular stuff. Like I said earlier, trying to chase some
I like
kitty cat.
I like the word normal.
Normal, okay, normal. So we had to deal with that, right? And they had, like I said, they had to deal with their own set of issues. And the only time those issues ever intersect is when there's some form of discrimination happening. Because even within that, in the LGBTQ community, you still seen black women being attacked. We've seen it over the years. We've seen videos come out of trans white men going at black women, right? Just going now. I've seen so many videos like that. So, we had to touch on that stuff and how it is helping, in my opinion, to fuel this gender war. Because if you make black men the boogeyman, if you make them the weakest link, you get to elevate everybody else, even people that, and like Ali said, it's not really the gays that, and even in that Obama piece, I don't believe that is the gays that's the issue. It's the trans people that people like Obama want people to accept. Ali gave an excellent breakdown to that earlier, and I really believe that that's what it is. It's like you should have this man that wears a dress and wears women makeup and women items
Right.
be a mentor to you as a young black man. And that's, to me, in my opinion, that's horrible advice. Horrible.
Like we have a Supreme Court justice who doesn't know what a woman is.
That's right. Uh,
And they want us to disregard everything we learned in biology, over the years and pretend like the biological science is not actually science, but instead we need to adopt this the delusions of the T's. The delusions of the T's. That's what it's all about. And that's what they mean when they talk about tolerance, etc. They're talking about that because we didn't have this tolerance conversation until they came along. All of these years, we had LGBs and we never had no problems with the LGBs.
That's right. That's right. That's right. My man Ian said there's no more tolerance for black LGBTQ because they are trying to further the divide between heterosexual black men and women. They have fallen on the side of toxic feminists and racist liberals. And that's just a fact. Like I said, and I'm going to repeat and I'm going to always say, we grew up with gay people in our neighborhoods. We never had no problems with them, man. They stayed to themselves. They stayed to themselves. It's just as simple as that. They were not out there causing no problems, no trouble, no any of that. They wasn't joining in with liberals trying to downgrade black men. Like now, this is what this has become. And so I wanted to have this conversation tonight to speak about it because these type of issues deserve our attention. You know, we have youth that we are raising. We all have children that we've raised or are raising. And we want to make sure that our children are in the best position to continue the family. That's what I'm for. Again, people do what they want to do. That's your lifestyle. It is what it is, man. I am for the extension of the family. If that offends anybody, then we definitely can't rock together. We can't rock together because I'm not offended by what you do in your bedroom. I'm just not. Just not. That's what you do in your bedroom. It's not my business.
Hey, I gotta shout out somebody that's probably y'all probably not gonna expect me to shout out, and that is Will Mills, man. You
Oh,
know, that, that dude providing the comedy, you know. But he
that's right.
said something that was pretty interesting. He was like, um, it's not that it's not that people are, you know, as some people say, play for the other team or swing left field or whatever. Swings is that see it's that you gotta broadcast and be so animated and out there with it that you put that out in front and you bring so much attention to that, because like if it's all about just like what you do in your bedroom, like you said, Naheem, I don't see like that's none of my business. I don't care nothing about that. Like, do what you do. But now when you trying to like get attention with all that other stuff, that's when it's the issue, and people will say, well, that's just who I am and all that. I mean, I don't even want to get into it, but this it's extra stuff. But um, and this is my opinion. That's not my opinion. In no way represents the everybody else's opinion. But I just got to say that yeah, that's an issue, right? Because when we talk about the children, I got a young child, and what offends me about that is when I got my son and he has to be exposed to all of that. And it's like, what is all that coming from? That ain't that's unnecessary, bro. Just be a person. Just be a person. Just be a human. Be a contributing member to this cause. You don't have to, because to me, what that speaks without saying it is I want to elevate attention to this and to me and to who I am with this, as opposed to the causes that we need to fight for collectively. And y'all could debate me on that. I really won't debate. That's just where I'm at with it. And again, much respect to everybody. I don't have no hate for nobody, but I got a young child. I remember the other day I saw a clip of Tamron Hall. It was like, y'all seen that one? It was Tamron Hall. I think it was Jalen Rose. And what's that other bald head brother with the beard that they got the gray hair with the glasses? He's kind of, I don't know if he's manosphere type dude, but he just seemed like one of them unks. Anyway, and Tamron Hall was like, I used to feel a certain type of way when I hear dudes talking like this, and then I had a son, you know, and I have to think about what my son has to deal with in the world, So for those people that have sons, nephews, little brothers, grandsons, cousins, and all the stuff that we have to face unique as freedmen, brothers, as black men. I hope that and those that are trying to expand and grow and build solid freedmen families for the continuity and the generation for the generational continuity of the freedmen family. I hope that if there's any resistance in your spirit, that when you think of your little brother, when you think of your little cousin, your little nephew, your sons, your grandsons, that what our message resonates, because, you know, it's some things that we are facing that's unique that you may figure that you don't have to care about. But nah, you need to care about, because without your care, without your support politically, we're at risk out here. We're at serious risk out here. So I'm gonna put that out there. Peace.
Definitely. I want to play the clip one more time before we start winding it down. One of the guys, one of the Democrats that called us so trying to debate us a couple weeks ago, he just got smoked. I ain't even really have to say too much, but he commented and said that's not what he said. So I want to play what he said so that everybody can hear it and hear it for yourself.
And that's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
Mm-hmm. One dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be everything.
He can't be everything. And then that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, man,
you need that.
Well, look,
saying.
if what he's saying is you need someone to teach you empathy, well, then that's your parents.
That's right.
If your parents have those kinds of principles and that kind of moral values about them, they can teach you that. You don't really need a gay person to teach you empathy.
That's right.
Right? Whether they gay or not is really of no significance, right? What's significant is whether or not the people who are raising you have those kinds of morals and principles to instill in you as a person growing into adulthood. It doesn't, so if it came from a gay man, like if his father or grandfather or whoever it is that raised him and his mother, whoever it was that raised him, if they didn't have the wherewithal to teach him empathy, then that's on his parents and his grandparents. But my parents taught us those kinds of things, and neither one of them were gay. They both had it, and they taught it to us. I didn't need no gay person to teach me that. I got it from my parents because they were good parents. It's as simple as that. So again, at the end of the day, for the guy who's saying that that's not what he said, what he's doing is he's trying to promote something to heterosexual men that is really erroneous, is really pseudo, but he's trying to make it appear as if this is something that will be helpful to you in terms of gaining the ability to empathize with people who are not like you, i.e., trans, really, because that's that's really what it's about, the trans. Even though he's not saying it, that's really what this whole thing is about. They want you to be accepting of men going in women's bathrooms. They want you to be accepting of men beating the crap out of females in the MMA octagon or whatever. They want you to be accepting of that stuff. It's not about gays and lesbians and bis, because those kind of people been in our midst for a long time.
Go ahead, brother. No hands.
No, if you wanted to say something, because we're gonna start winding it down in a few. But if you
Yeah,
wanted to say something,
yeah. When I heard it, it sounded like he was talking to adult, saying that, hey, men, adult men, you need a gay man so they can talk to a little gay boy. To me, that's kind of dangerous. I don't know. I'm appealing to. I'm having a little comedic moment, but you're saying that I need to have a gay man to be a mentor to a little gay boy, or to be able to have somebody, a
no,
little gay
a
boy, to
regular
talk to.
boy.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
that too. Okay, yeah, that too. You're right.
Yeah,
But
because he was
it
saying
was,
if you got a little gay boy and he has
or
nobody to talk
normal,
to,
as Ali said.
yeah,
No,
yeah. I'm like, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not trying to make an association with that, but to me, that's kind of like, think about it. If you're a gay man, that means you're attracted to what, men
Right.
or the males. That's kind of like, imagine if you say, hey, if you got a if you got a man, you know, have him, and you have a young girl that's I don't even know what the association be with that likes, both of them like basketball. You can hook them up together and have them talk basketball. Now would you be like, that's a good idea, or let's just say, it's piano. They both like piano. Let hook them up, and they both can talk piano and get in the piano. That sounds like that's kind of risky to me. I'll be like, no, I don't like that arrangement. I don't really like that arrangement because that's somebody that's just kind of risky. I don't know if that makes sense to me.
Man, boy,
Y'all feel me on
man, boy, love you.
that?
Trying to cultivate
Yeah,
that.
that's kind of risky, bro. That
Yeah,
Nam
bro. You
love,
know
bro.
something? You're right to point that out because I heard it, but I didn't even it didn't even really register. But
it was
you're
so
right.
subtle. It
Yeah,
was so
yeah.
subtle. That's right. That's right. And this is why we wanted to talk about it, man. You think about why so many black men voted for Donald Trump in this last election. They were trying to, um, you know, clip our nuts, if you will. And they've been trying it for a long time. I remember it was Roland Martin right before he did that interview. I believe it was right before he did the interview with Ice Cube. And I believe that was Alicia Garza from Black Lives Matter. He had her come on and try to ambush him. He was speaking about why black men were hearing Barack Obama out. I mean, not, excuse me, Donald Trump out. He talked about masculinity, Machado, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so Roland and them knew what time it was then. And what they did was double down on the black man shame. I did a whole live stream on that 4 years ago. I should say, did a whole live stream on that 4 years ago, right here on this channel, breaking down this very thing that we're speaking about. And this past election, we seen glimpses of it, but we seen more pushback. We seen way more pushback from men. There were a lot of content creators. They wasn't trying to hear that. They were taking every last one of those clips. Even Michelle Obama's speech at the DNC convention. I mean, she was basically saying, if you could go, she was basically saying, if you need to go creep and vote, then you should go do that. Go creep and vote.
Hmm.
Right. And if you listen to it, just like that subtle uh, uh, injection that Obama made, it sounded like she was saying it's okay if y'all go cheat on y'all husbands. That's the way it sounded to me. Maybe I'm bugging, but that's the way she worded it. Helping to ruin relationships like it is rumored that hers is ruined. Just saying.
But that's because a lot of unfortunately a lot of women, and in this case our women, black women, freemen, black women, not just freemen women, but there's a lot of our women are very childish and at the same time very, very destructive. And it's unfortunate. It's too much of that. And it's not helpful to the community, particularly to the family structure at all. It's not helpful. Very childish and very, very destructive. I wanted to play something pointing that out too, but go ahead. I see you got
No, good.
the thing up. But listen, check this out. This is Obama.
Define marriage. I believe that marriage is the union between a man and a woman. Now, for me as a Christian, for me, as a Christian, it's also a sacred union. God's in the mix.
What happened to that?
I mean, we could find similar stances where he flipped the script. Sometimes it's about the donors, man. The donors may say, look, man, we want this thing. So you want to win, especially a second term, you're going to have to push this thing. You push this thing, and we'll swell your coffers up enough that if you don't get reelected, which you probably will, you're going to still be good anyway. These guys leave office, come into office and with student loan debt, and they come back in. I mean, excuse me, they leave out millionaires.
All right, so this is the elder speaking on what I was just talking about. The childish nature of many of our women, and unfortunately, it brings us to a place where the women display a lot of behavior that becomes destructive to the family unit. But check this out. Listen to what she had to say.
Yes, listen sir. Up, brother. Listen up. I hear you, brother. This is what you have to remember. The average black woman in America don't get no older than about 14. So just talk to her and deal with her like you dealing with a 14-year-old. Don't come at her like you dealing with an equal, because she's not going to be able to accept that. You got to go way back. And we cut off at about 14 to 15. We don't develop and mature no further until we get some new information and accept some different information. Look at a lot of my lectures on YouTube. People have put everything I got out there just about. They rob me every day. So go and look those up and listen to some of those. And they're in short enough clips that you'll be able to get some information and be able to share that with her. Because I give it out really straight and really direct. And I give us useful tools that we can use every day like you're talking about. But if you love her, and she gonna fight against right, because that's how we have been reared by the enemy. That ain't her you fighting. You fighting the demon in her that was put in her by the enemy.
And who was that enemy?
Well, we know who that is. That's white feminists. And that was the thing that Dr. Curry was breaking down in the clip that I played, right? That how Sojourner Truth's ideology started, especially towards black men, started to mirror that of white women back in the days, the white suffragettes that believed that black women would have been better as slaves to white women as opposed to, and I don't know if slaves was meant in the context, but as slaves to black men, because they were basically saying that if black men got the right to vote, so this is how they used us. No women had the right to vote back in those days. And so what white women did was they used black women. And they convinced black women that if black men get the right to vote, they're going to enslave you. They're going to be worse than white men, which was BS because there were black slaveholders. Now, these black slaveholders weren't like the white people. They weren't even like white women. There was a whole book written on that called They Were Her Property, detailing how in many instances white women were even more brutal to our ancestors than their men. But when you take this position that black men would do you worse when black men that held, because they brought their family members in during the time of slavery just to free them from being oppressed by other people, those that had the means. And it was very rare. A lot of people try to point to that as if it means something. It means nothing. But what the history shows, it was to bring family members and as many friends as possible onto your quote unquote plantation so that you wouldn't have to go through those hardships. And unfortunately, there weren't enough of our people to do that. So, it was only a handful. But with that said, very rarely did you hear any instances of black men treating black women like white men and white women treated us in general. So it was BS. And this was something that Sojourner Truth pushed. And this is something that has been a long running theme in academia. This is something that was pushed by people like Bell Hooks. We've seen it interwoven into movies like The Color Purple and For Colored Girls Only. Horrible, horrible depictions of black men in these movies. I remember this young woman's tweet went, or post on Facebook, I think it could have been a tweet, went viral. She said, "My whole life I hated Danny Glover because of the character that he played in Color Purple." He said, I think she's like 30. She was like, now that I'm 30 years old, I realized that he just played a character and that's not who he is. But this is what
Yeah,
it
I
was.
told you.
Yeah, bro, this is what it was designed to do. This is what it was designed to do. So when Sojourner Truth lied and said that our women go about washing and cleaning and our men sit idle, that was BS. We were the main tillers of the fields. I mean, every piece of research that we've even read on this platform debunks that. Just saying. So, I want people to be clear on why we chose this topic tonight. There's a disconnect between our men and our women, and it's being driven by white liberal feminists who have adopted the LGBTQ movement as soldiers in their fight to dismantle our freedmen families. We have to call this thing for what it is. Our families are suffering. I try my best not to say things like, when you look at other people, I try my best not to do that. And rarely do I do it. But in some instances, it warrants it because we don't see other women from other demographics speaking about getting their job so that they can be free of a man, right? Biggie said that in one of his songs. What is it, Sky's the Limit? He told his daughter, I tell my daughter, get yourself a college plan so she don't need no man. Like, no, that's the wrong message. That is the wrong message because your father left your mother. You shouldn't think that another mother should struggle being a single mother. The message should have been, get yourself a college plan so you could build with your man. But a lot of our women, unfortunately, are not thinking that way. And when I say a lot of, notice I'm not generalizing all women. I think people should know that we're not speaking about all of our women. And I shouldn't have to, preface every or make a preface every time I speak about it. Because if the shoe does what they say, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. If the shoe doesn't fit, etc., etc., etc. But we see that these people on these platforms are promoting the gender divide. They're the main ones talking about, uh, you know, these statistics. They're the main ones speaking about these statistics, man, about how black women are the most educated and black women own more homes and black women make more money and black women this and black women
Hey,
that.
can you do something real quick?
What's up, bro?
Can you throw into Chat GPT, like ask the question, is it true that black women are the most educated in the United States? Comes up.
Okay, let's hold on.
Let's just see what comes up in real time. I'm just curious about it.
Let's
That's crazy that people be putting stuff out there to be trying to like act like
so let's
slavery and all that stuff ain't never happened.
let's ask live on the air. Are black women the most educated demographic in the United States? If not, which demographic of women or people in general are the most educated? Didn't give me no answer. Hold on. I might have to do Claude. I don't know why I didn't. Hold on, y'all. Are black women the most educated demographic in the United States of America? If not, which demographic of women are the most educated and which demographic in general are the most educated? I got the volume turned down. Let me
search for the latest education statistics by demographic.
It's low.
It's low?
I hear it. Is it thinking?
Mm-hmm.
That's Claude?
Yeah.
Is that you? I'll leave it to
Aren't the
guitar.
most educated demographic overall, but they do lead within their community. Asian women actually have the highest degree rates at 77%, followed by white women at 52% compared to 38% for black women.
So Asian women are the most educated demographic of women in the United States of America at 77%.
In terms of holding degrees.
In terms of holding degrees, white women are at 52% and black women are at 38%.
So
So
so I already knew that, right? I already knew
Mhm.
it. I just wanted you to do that live on the air. But my question is, where does this come from? And because what Claude said is out of the group that they come from, out of the black group, the black racial group, yeah, black women hold more degrees than men, but not in the United States in terms of other women. So where does this even come from? Like who started this that black women are the most educated? Where does that come from? Well, I don't even understand it now.
It's made up, and what it's designed to do is attack black men. That's what it's really designed to do. Because if you were to push back with these statistics that white women are 52% and Asian women are 77% compared to black women's 38%, most of them will just revert back to saying black men. We got more degrees
Right.
than
Than
black
black
men.
men. Well, they could
So
have did that without even making up the story that they're the most
mhm.
educated. They could have easily had just went at us and said, "Hey, look, we got more degrees than y'all." You know what I mean? And it would have
That's
been
right.
true, you know.
Well, that's basically what they're getting at. That's what they're getting at. That we have more degrees than y'all, but there's what they're saying is, you know, what they're saying is that we're going to make this a general message so it doesn't, or a generalized message so it doesn't appear as if we're solely attacking black men. So this is from Claude, right? This is from the paper that it well, not this paper, the study that it drafted up. And let me see if I could move this over some. So it created this chart. Matter of fact, let's go back to this chart. Let's see if I could. It spoke about gender disparities, the complex reality, and it breaks down bachelor's degrees, median weekly earnings, which black men make more than black women, master's degrees earned, labor force participation. Black men are 68%, 68.1% of labor force participation as compared to 62.8%. Black women also lead black men by for every 3 black men, there are 5 black women, especially in dense urban areas. Home ownership rates, right? It breaks that down that unmarried black women own 58% of homes compared to 42% of black men, and unemployment rates are the same. And it talks about areas where black women lead and also areas where black men lead. But I want to read this over here because this is important. It says this chart provides a balanced, data-driven perspective that challenges the oversimplified narrative about black gender dynamics. Here are key insights. The reality is nuanced. Black women excel in education. 38% have bachelor's degrees versus 26% for black men. And they earn 72% of master's degrees awarded to black students. So that's a great accomplishment. We're not taking that away from anybody. But black men maintain income advantages. $970 a week versus $889 per week in the labor force participation. We participate more in that labor force. It talks about the unique challenges. Why the quote unquote black women are doing better narrative is misleading. One, educational success doesn't equal economic success. So it's like I'm going to find something to make it appear as if I'm actually doing better than you. It says, despite higher educational levels, black women still earn less than black men. Different metrics tell different stories. Focusing only on education ignores income disparities. Focusing only on income ignores educational achievements. So
And
now it's
wealth.
like, huh?
I was saying, and wealth.
That's
You
right.
know, yeah,
But
you
men
might
are
have a
not doing
job,
that.
but you paying bills. You ain't
That's right.
building no wealth.
But you don't. One of the things you don't hear men saying is, well, we make more than y'all, right? That's not a we're not bragging or boasting or flexing. I don't hear any content creators you're bragging about that. Now they may say that in response to these talking points from these black liberals, that suffer from boss bitches, but that's not a boast because it's not a flex. I'm trying to build with you. You're my woman. You're my woman. I'm trying to build with you. You're trying to build against that, like Sister Shahrazad Ali said, something has possessed you to spew this narrative and then run with it as if it actually means anything. Because ultimately, at point number 3, it says both groups, meaning black men and black women, face systemic racism. The real comparison should be progress relative to white Americans, where both black men and women lag
Now
significantly.
you cooking.
Now
Come on,
that's what the
see,
AI said.
see,
I'm just that's what the AI said.
see.
So,
Come on,
hmm
man.
so just saying.
We
That's
try
right,
to get people on
Sister
board.
AJ, building together.
Exactly. Thank you. Building together. But like I said, the problem the problem that I've had to come to terms with is the fact that too many of our women, and I'm not going to be generalizing, so I'll say too many of our women have adopted a very destructive mindset and approach to family and to community. And it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Even in a conversation I was having recently, was talking about the fact that Black women are being the least married and the most divorced group. That's a problem. That's a problem. And not just because they're the most divorced group, but because they're the ones who are initiating the divorces, regardless of who they're married to. Black men, white men, Spanish men, Asian, Middle Eastern. It doesn't even matter. They initiate the majority of the divorces. So my thing is like there is a destructive nature there, and unfortunately, it's really ill affecting our families, in a way that it's just very detrimental. And I wish there was something that we could do about it. I don't know what we could do.
Well, let's since we got the AI on tap right now, let's see what the AI say. What is the solution? What is the solution for that? Now, I mean, we got our ideas. We've talked about them for years. I just like to hear what the AI has to say.
I mean, I think we know what the solution is, right? And we could pull it up, but let's see. Let's see. Hold on.
And if you can just take the end of whatever chat you just had and hit that
Well, I'm
voice
going to
chat
the
button.
one that did. I'm going to the because Claude doesn't retain the
Uh,
conversations like chat does.
chat. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
We proficient with the AI over here.
Yeah. And if that's something, hey man, join our organization. We ain't really do too much promotion tonight. We're looking for people that are tech savvy, who understand AI. We're looking for people that understand cryptocurrency. We're looking for people that can read the markets. Our people need to understand this stuff. I'm still a novice on understanding like the markets. Like I seen Google, its stock skyrocketed, and people are projecting that it's gonna get even crazier in the next couple of days. So if you own Google stock, you're about to be eating like crazy, right? I was trying to look at the breakdowns. I was like, I don't really understand. I don't really understand this stuff. And so if we had somebody dedicated on the platform that could come in, then I would take the time because they would be on the platform. And I could figure it out on my own. Of course, we all can, but it's just not my area, my strength. Like to study what I like to study. But if this is something that you know about and you would like to come on the platform and build and be a regular guest on Be the Power, yo, hit us up, man. BTP Livecast at gmail.com. That's BTP Livecast at gmail.com. All right.
And I would like to extend the invitation. If you're a person that's thinking about, if you're a member or a person that is thinking about becoming a member and you want to learn AI, I'm willing to take some time to hold workshops to help people learn AI in terms of, there's a study that was done by McKinsey and Company a couple of years ago, and it talked about how AI. I think it came out January 2024. Y'all can look it up. Let's look up McKinsey and Company racial wealth gap AI, and it's talking about how generative AI is going to increase the racial wealth gap. I think by like $47 billion a year coming up. Y'all heard me say it over and over, but and it talked about what we can do to mitigate that a little bit. Um, and the first thing I thought about was, well, we need to learn AI. We need to be in the front of it instead of waiting until the end when this thing is already like received mass adoption. When AI is like everybody has like back in the day. Remember when only certain people had the internet, only certain people had AOL or something like that. Certain people had cable internet, and then you look and next thing you know, everybody had it, right? Everybody had. Remember, it was only a few people that had the iPhone. There's only a few people that had, a smartphone or anything like that. Everybody else had just a flip phone and your block phone and, the chirp. But then Next thing you know, everybody had a smartphone. Well, all those times when you saw that that was going to be the trend before then, you had an opportunity to learn certain skills to help you build. And I just want to tell you, it's never been a better or easier time to make a startup. If you have an idea you've been sitting on and you want to make it become a reality, it's never a better time than the present time using AI for you to actually bring that thing to life. So if you're a person like that and you want to learn, join an organization, hit me up or hit up Brother Naeem. We get enough interest, we can do a Freedman workshop dealing with what is AI? How can I use AI? How can I use it to help me build my dream, my business, or whatever else I want to build, or whatever I want to build, whether it's for a business, whether it's for your church or your nonprofit, whether it's for your family or whatever the case may be. I'll be willing to do a workshop. So, and I know y'all think, well, who am I? Well, I mean, I don't want to get into it, but I know what I'm talking about. So
That's
I
right.
got
That's
working
right.
knowledge of that stuff. All right.
That's right. That's right. So visit our website, usadof.org. Hit that membership link. Come rock out with us. Join our join our email list. I think I put that link in the chat, in the live chat. If you don't see it, which I should have pinned that. And support the platform. So make sure y'all support the platform. $ be the power. We gotta pay for this stuff every month too, and a little support from our viewers would be great. Again, that's Cash App $ be the power. You can use the super chat feature if you're on YouTube. So I punched in what's the solution, Josh. Obviously, this is way too much to read, and it ran down a lot of stuff. But it started with I'll read this part. It says, based on the research, addressing Black gender disparities requires comprehensive solutions that tackle both the educational pipeline challenges affecting Black men and the occupational segregation limiting Black women's economic returns on education. Here are evidence-based solutions, early intervention, and K through 12 pipeline solutions for Black men's educational access. So it's starting out with us early, right? This is the AI pulling from, like I said, the extant sources on what solutions look like. Mentorship programs. My brother's keeper was obviously only for the elite. It was something that never reached our neighborhoods at all. But programs pairing Black boys with Black male role models in STEM and professional fields, as opposed to what Obama was saying. He just wants you to learn how to be a softer male. And you might need, no, we need role models in STEM and other professional fields. Um, School discipline to reduce suspension rates that disproportionately push Black boys out of school, which is the goal. Again, I spoke about a test that was done maybe a year or two ago, and in it, we seen that they asked the question, which child is the problematic child? I know I'm paraphrasing, but I believe that's close to what the question was. And they had a software that was looking at the eyes of each individual that was watching the screen. Almost everybody's eyes were trained on a little Black kid. It was a Black boy, a little Freedman boy. Everybody trained their eyes on him. There were little Black girls, there were little Asians, Mexicans, white kids, but everybody's eyes went to the Black. This is programming. This is programming. And some people don't realize that they're programmed. They just don't. They don't realize it. They simply don't. So it goes on, man. Financial literacy, higher education reforms, field diversification. It's going to use some of that AI, that DEI language, but really feel diversification. I mean, it's something that's needed in an industry that in industries that we've been generationally boxed out of, so we don't even try to pursue. Addressing occupational segregation, and then it starts getting into Black women career advancement programs, professional development funding, anti-discrimination enforcement and hiring for both groups, skill-based hiring initiatives that focus on competencies rather than pedigree, corporate diversity accountability with measurable goals for Black representation and leadership, professional networking programs. And then it gets into criminal. It's a bunch. It's a lot, man. I'll share that to our group so you could take a look at it. Chats using advanced research can't be shared. What? Paying for this stuff, boy. It should be. What do you mean it can't be shared? I don't like that. They be wanting you to pay that $100 a month. That's what it is. Not I. Well, not yet anyway. But yeah, man. Bros, anything else y'all got to share with the family?
Wait till you start building, bro. You're gonna be like, do I need the $200 a month
Yeah, I
joint?
know. I
It's
know. Hey,
just,
hey. I'm putting some things together, and I've already contemplated that. I was like $100 a month. I was like, geez. That's
yeah, because
yeah,
I couldn't live without the $100 a month clause. I'm just letting you know.
yeah.
I can't do nothing without that
I
joint.
feel you. Shit, I'm already paying that with all of the other stuff. Or they done found a way to get new subscription money out of people. Boy, they went from Netflix, Hulu, Amazon.
Let me tell you, you ain't lying.
Ah man, they like we
There's
gonna
so
get
many.
you.
There's so many subscriptions, man. It's insane.
Crazy. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts to your bank account too. Start adding
Mhm.
that stuff up. Like, yo, wait a minute. Like,
But I hope
what?
the youngins is like, hey, I'm gonna put my money into that to help me build something, as opposed to I'm gonna put my money into something else that ain't gonna help me, do nothing.
That's right.
So that's why I'm like, hey, man, you know, we need to get on our grind, man, because I know like what we can do with this group, with this organization, and
That's
with the
right.
knowledge that we all have collectively.
That's right. That's right.
Let
We
me say
putting
one
the
more thing,
call out,
bro.
man. Go
Yeah,
ahead, bro.
let me say this. When you think about, I saw not Boyce. I saw Roland Martin. Y'all seen that when he had went on his little rant. He started naming out all these people and all that. And shout out to all those people
Mhm.
for n- putting out information and messages that are fighting back against the groupthink that the Democrat Party really wants us to, fall into, and the Republican Party, just for keeping things centered on our issues, from their perspective. Even though sometimes they go off on, certain extremes that probably are kind of reductive sometimes, talking about the FBA stuff, but still, for what they know and what they can do, I give them props. But I'm just thinking about it, man. It's a shame that we don't have a bigger reach. It's a shame that we don't have a bigger networking group. It's a shame that we don't get more support or we don't have more name recognition, because the information we put out, the depth of knowledge we have, everything we bring to the table is exactly what the American freedom need across the country. And we see that because it manifests itself in terms of meaningful policy that ends up getting pushed to politicians. It doesn't just end up as viral clips on YouTube or TikTok or Twitter or whatever, or X or whatever. It manifests in terms of real change that's being put out there. People running for office, people having political movements, that shaping the outcomes of America. We hope, or starting the foundations of that reshaping. So I just wish, it's unfortunate that I don't want us to be necessarily grouped with those people necessarily because we do things a little differently and we have a different aim and a different legitimacy. But the fact that we're not seen as a threat to that, to the people like Roland Martin, we're not on the radar, that we don't even need to be mentioned. I take offense to that. Like we should be there. We should be there. So, and it's part of that's our own fault. We don't do enough self promotion. We never. That was never really like our aim to just to build the platform to where we are out there like that. We're more so about having tangible impact. But I just wish our message was more widespread and wide reaching. But
Yeah,
thank you to all of the Freedom supporters,
that's
especially
right.
those in the chat that have been rocking with us. And we're gonna continue to turn up the gas on this thing, and try to make that happen, expand that reach. But if you know people that can help us make that happen in terms of resources, please keep us in mind.
That's right. That's right. Um, it's a concerted effort to keep us from the people that got their large platforms. There was always some sucker stuff, man, and that has just been a part, I'm gonna guess, of human existence since human existence. You're just gonna always run across a bunch of suckers. But there was a story that I learned when I was young, and it was about the tortoise and the hare. And I believe it was the tortoise that challenged the hare to a race. And, the hare, knowing that it was way faster than the tortoise, it accepted the challenge and decided that it was going to race the hare. I mean, race the tortoise. And the race begins. And the tortoise, knowing that he had the speed, went and did all of this other stuff, so much so that he forgot the fact that the finish line was his goal. And in this race, Be the Power and United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen have been the tortoise. Because we're lapping at this point. We're in new races. And there are other people that forgot about the finish line. They done went somewhere else. They done took a nap in a tree. They done veered off. They done did a whole bunch of other things because it all started off with reparations. And now people with these super large platforms, I don't know where they are in the race, but I know we as the tortoises, we've already crossed a couple finish lines. So, I like where we're at, but like my brother Josh said, man, you know, we hope that it will expand, that it will grow, and that like minds will come on board. Uh, Forget the chatter that's on the internet and X with these cornballs that ain't ever gonna do anything. All they do is sit around and talk bad about us all day. Like that, and I think that's why some people are scared to rock out with us as well. They don't want to get talked about by a bunch of people that ain't doing nothing but talking. It's weird, man. It's just weird, man. It is just weird. And shout out to everybody, man, that tuned in tonight. I want to share one more thing before we get up out of here. We wrote a white paper, and the name of our white paper, hold on, make sure I get the exact title. It's called, matter of fact, let me just pull it up real quick. And let me share the screen. So the name of our white paper is called Freedmen. Let me know if y'all can see that. Freedmen as a legal and moral category. Moving beyond race-based remedies to status-based justice. And we published this last month. It already has 76 downloads and 292 abstract views. I don't know what abstract views mean exactly. I didn't even think to pull it up. But the paper is moving, right? So much so.
Yo, that's powerful. You think? See, this ain't like YouTube views and
That's
Instagram
right.
likes where you get into the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, and you're like, oh, well, that's pretty good. Like
That's right.
76, like to read
That's right.
some research paper, that's a lot of people.
That's right. That's right. I said 76 people have downloaded the paper, and then you have what's called abstract views. Like I
Yeah,
said, I don't.
the abstract on the front. The front.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
See, that's why he's the professor, man. That's why he's the professor. So let me go back out of this. So let me go here to this email. So every month, certain papers, depending on how they do, they get published in e-journals. They have another one called empirical studies, where the legal minds they start to dissect this stuff. So you see that legal history e-journal from this site. What is it called? I think it's Social Science Research Network, if I'm not mistaken. And this is volume 28, number 79, July 21st. So that's just yesterday, 2025. And voila, look at what you see there. USA DOF's paper has been listed in that e-journal. The culmination of our research. And we kind of left things a little. That's right. Give us an applause. I know when it was Sister Roz and was on, they had an applause emoji. Let me see, can I find that? It was a sister give us some applause. I could never ever do those those overlays. I could never get those overlays done. But let me see if I can find that, man. I can't even find none of it, man. But we where's the media assets at? Where did it move to?
Stuff
Oh, right
changed,
there.
right?
Word. They changed this whole back office right here. So let us get a round of applause. And that's for our sisters too. That's for our sisters as well, man. I want y'all to know that we definitely love y'all. Um, and we know that many of you who are in this space, especially those that rock with our platform, are not like those that are, pretty much the majority in or the majority of the women that we're speaking about, but the disconnect is from the ground all the way up to the corporate office. So shout out to us, man. We doing our thing, and for those that like the Edward Blooms and all of them, let's put this emoji up to let them know intellectually and legally and scholastically, oh, we coming. We cocking back and we loading up the ammo and we coming
What
for
what
you.
what what emoji you got?
That's the my man cocking back
Oh
the
oh
12
what, oh
gauge. You see him in the bottom corner?
yeah, I
He's
see it
cocking
now.
back
I
the
see it.
12 gauge. Roz and Sister Natalie put this up when they was doing the live streams with Logic. I could never figure out how to do this stuff, so I just never even tried again. I took like a couple hours to try to figure this out. I think the Sister Natalie asked me to hit her up. I probably forgot. As a matter of fact, I'm quite certain I forgot. It just never happened. But I may put some effort into trying to figure it out, man. But yeah, shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody that watched. Again, go to usadof.org, join the organization Be the Power. Go to bethepower.org, and we have a link there for voter registration, which we're about to kick up for the 2026 midterms. We didn't come here to play. We didn't come here to just talk and beef with people online and yell and scream. We came to get work done, and we're doing exactly that. We are carving our footprints in this space, and we are becoming the power. Point blank, period. We are becoming the power. So, again, shout out to everybody, man, and thank you all for listening. Brother Ali, you got any closing statements?
Nope. Thank you for having this platform, doing this program tonight, and speaking about these important issues. And I think it's very necessary that we continue to do this. And thank everybody who was in the chats, uh, leaving the comments and participating in the conversation in the way that you do, and supporting us. I appreciate all of that. I see it, and I really appreciate it. Thanks to the people who are on X, who have tuned in through X. Appreciate you. Facebook, is it on Facebook tonight? I
Yep,
don't know
yep.
if
We streaming on Facebook
people on
right now.
Facebook that's checking it out. Thank you. I seen one brother said, she wanted to shout out Noble Drew Ali.
I
Yep,
seen
shout out to Noble
that.
Drew Ali. Yep,
That's
yep.
right. Shout out to the prophet, man. Shout out to the prophet. We still love Noble Drew Ali over here. Straight up. Yeah, man. Brother Josh, you got any closing words? Brother Josh, you probably on mute.
Oh yeah, definitely rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was obviously a really good person, and so he left a real impact in entertainment, as well as in terms of as a human, particularly with the Black community. I see an outpouring of love for him, love and appreciation for him and his work and his legacy all over social media. So he definitely left his mark, and an untimely, unfortunate turn of events for him. And it's crazy what happened.
Word.
But dang, man, you just never know, man. Life is crazy. Man, you never know, man.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, Brother Josh.
Me and you, your mama and your cousin too. I don't know, that song was just in my head. Cause yeah, that's what we're about. Me and you and your mama and your cousin too. The Freedman, the whole Freedman family.
Whole
So
Freeman family.
when you think about your choices you're gonna make sure you thinking about me and you and your mama and your cousin too, or my mama and my cousin too, with your actions, especially politically, what you do online, what you do in the community. Think about those freedmen. Think about the freedmen that came before you. Think about the freedmen that's going to come after you, and think about the freedmen that's before you today, and what you can do to support, what you can do to um, build that family up. Because that's really what this thing is going to be about. The survival of the people is heavily contingent on that freedom family unit, and we need to support that. Support the children. Support the mothers. Support the fathers. Um, I don't know if you even brought that up, that experience that you dealt with earlier, or was it yesterday, Naeem? What you saw when you were
No, I
driving?
didn't bring it up because I had got some more information. So I ain't want to get into that because I thought about
Okay.
that. But once I got some more information, I was like, I don't know, man. It was still a bad situation,
Yeah,
but I didn't know. I was like, I'm gonna just leave that for now until I could learn some more about it.
but what we know is she probably ain't the only one out there.
That's right.
The
That's right.
situation. I'm a kid, and we don't have
No,
to
go ahead, go
go
ahead.
too deep on it. But essentially, it was like what Naheem came across as he was riding in the city he's residing in. He came across a young sister that was outside with her 4 kids in the 90 plus
It was
degree, I don't know,
99. It
100.
was 99 degrees. Real feel was 104.
And she got 4 babies outside
The
in the
youngest baby,
dangerous part of.
the youngest baby was about 2 months old.
That's crazy, man. 4 kids outside in like a major traffic area. So it's not even safe for the kids if they decide they want to play or run around and horse around. They can mess around and get hit. Holding the sign. That's the level of desperation she's at. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, that's not even safe. But how does it get in your head that you're at that level of desperation that you have your kids exposed to danger like that just
Right.
to get a few dollars? Like that's the community of people that we dealing with. That's the community of people we represent. That's the community of people that we need to like. Now, I mean, imagine 10 years ago. She's probably in her 20s, right? Late 20s, early 30s, or whatever case may be. Imagine 10, 15 years ago. Did she imagine her life was going to be like that? Did her parents imagine her life was going to be like that? But that's what we're talking about, downward mobility, or the lack of having upward mobility across generations. And we're talking about the difference between a person that's an immigrant in America and the challenge they face. And we talk about the American freedman, and that is the prospects for upward mobility. Pretty much every immigrant that's in America has a vision, and they believe wholeheartedly that their next generation is going to have upward mobility. And the numbers say that they are actually prophetic in that belief. The American freedman, a lot of times we're delusional. Damn.
Indeed, indeed. So, I got some more information from the young woman. She wasn't homeless. So and then I just asked some more questions, and I was like, it was tough because when you don't know all the details of a thing, you don't really know why a person is doing a thing, and it was tough, man. It was a tough call, but we're going to see if we could get that sister some resources and go from there. But I'm gonna wind this thing down, family. Um, thank you all for participating, man. This was an important conversation about Barack Obama and his comments that to me made absolutely no sense. But that's to me. I could be wrong. I have my opinion, but to me it made no sense. And touching on this manufactured gender war, gender divide between freedmen men and women, and a lot of the talking points that we keep hearing over and over again. Black women are the most educated. Black women make the most money. Black women own the most homes. Black women, in an attempt to belittle black men. And then we pulled up the statistics to show that it's just not what they're saying. And even in that, black men are still out earning black women. So there's problems on both fronts that we need to solve. Black men are not trying to go to college and get saddled with debt to learn some stuff that black men are trying to learn plumbing trades, electrical skills, to become an electrician, bricklaying, aviation. They're not trying to, go do 4-6 years to get a degree only to earn $38,000 a year, because that was in the price range of what black women with many of these degrees are earning. I believe it said $38,000 to $52,000 per year. Just saying, it's not the flex that they're trying to make it out to be, and it shouldn't be a flex at all, because we shouldn't be trying to flex on each other. We're supposed to be building with each other. And it's our job, a part of our job, like other men I see that's combating these corrosive talking points, to address them and prove that, number one, they're wrong. And number two, you people that say this stuff are furthering the gender divide. You're furthering it. You're not healing it. You're not making it better. And many of them are not trying to make it better. They want to see themselves in a better position than our men. They want to see that. But it's a new day. Or as citing Noble Drew Ali, as he would say, it's a new era of time now. It's a new era of time now. Shout out AJ for the contribution. Shout out to our brother Judicially Affirmed for the earlier contribution. We are signing up off of here, people. Again, we thank you all. And man, that's it, man. We done. Peace.